Good afternoon, everybody. Very shortly, we're going to have some historic cars going up the hill doing a demo, and then we're going to go live with our timed runs. There'll be 2 time runs this afternoon, both counting towards their respective championships that we'll fill you in on. If you've not been to Prescott, and if you're watching on the live stream, you'll see the paddock there now. My name's Chris Ponsford. I'm here with Peter Hughes, and Chris Druitt is up in the top doing interviews. Anyway, welcome to Prescott. As you can see on the live stream, for example, the paddock is getting busy for some of the demo cars to go up. We've got a sunny day, the weather is dry. We had a fabulous day's hill climbing yesterday. This is called the Prescott Historique meeting, and basically there's a very wide selection of cars here today, including single-seaters, sports cars, saloons, all sorts. The British Championship cars are not running here today. They're at Gerston down near Salisbury, and as I look on the live stream, I can see the course car is just on the hill at the moment, just checking everything's all in place. As they do, all the marshals are all in post, all the medical staff are all ready to go should the need arise. So we've got a full program this afternoon. The first cars we're going to be seeing on the hill are going to be demo cars. And when I say demo cars, we actually have BRM, British Racing Motors, exhibiting here today, and are going to take at least 2 cars up the hill. One is an ex-Niki Lauda V12 Formula 1 car in the Marlborough colours, the red and the white. And they are also exhibiting and driving up the hill the fearsome V16 BRM made back in the 50s. It's a car that has a 1.5 litre supercharged engine. It's got a V16 configuration, so you can imagine in a 1.5 litre engine trying to fit tiny little pistons, valves and all the rest of it into that configuration is a very, very complicated car. When it runs, it goes like a scolded cat. It sounds incredibly noisy and it is incredibly fast. It's got over 500 brake horsepower, which in a car back in the 50s on little skinny tyres and very ineffective brakes compared with modern ones, it's a very, very difficult prospect to drive. It's dry at the moment, thank goodness for that, and that horsepower is just immense and the noise is ear-splitting, so we'll look out for that one. We're also going to look out for a Jedi, which is Jedi racing cars. They're made in Wellingborough. They built nearly 200 cars now. And the one we're going to see today is chassis 001. And this one was built by John Corbin in 1984. It's got a Suzuki bike engine, which was quite radical in itself. A T500cc, a 500cc 2-stroke air-cooled engine. That's very unusual in itself. And this car was hill climbed really successfully by John Corbin, and he won the Prescott Gold Cup in 1986 in this car. It was quicker in its heyday than the 1100 cars that John had previously run. So as a result, Jedi cars have produced nearly 200. Other manufacturers have followed suit with the same idea, but it's stayed true to its foundations, and it changed the landscape of engine choice. And now in the smaller cars, smaller category engines, the motorbike engine rules supreme. In the big classes, big V8s are generally the way to go. So they make small, nimble, lightweight cars. There's still plenty campaigning on the hills as well, and we'll have a little look at that one in a minute. So welcome to Prescott. If you've not seen us before, Prescott is situated just outside a village called Gotherington, near Bishopscleeve, near Cheltenham in Gloucestershire. And it is a hill climb. It's on a private estate. It's owned by the Bugatti Owners Club, the Bugatti Trust, and so it's just a wonderful facility. It's set in stunning countryside. Okay, the first car we're going to see, though, we've got an ERA coming up the hill, GP1 ERA. This is a supercharged ERA, fast, about 400 horsepower. supercharged engine. Have a look at that one, folks. Spectacular car, isn't it? Beautiful. Period car of the time, extremely valuable, extremely rare, and an absolute thrill to see and hear that car. As it makes its way around in Tories, the long sweeping corner, heads up towards Pardon Hairpin, always tricky to get round there. So he gets around there, slipping the clutch slightly, puts the power down, blasts up towards the S's. Here he comes into the S's now on the live stream. Head cocked over to the left there. Doesn't want to give it too much power because these things are frighteningly quick actually on those little skinny tyres. Anyway, an extremely valuable car as well. James Baxter is building a replica of one of those at the moment, I'm told. So I look forward to seeing that. So there was our ERA. Now, what have we got for you now? I see the photographers getting ready. I can hear the Jedi engine in the paddock. This could be the little red Jedi I was just telling you about, the little motorbike engine car. 500cc, twin cylinder, air-cooled motorbike engine. Quite radical back in the day. Small lightweight car. Here it comes. Here comes the little Jedi. You just listen to that raucous little noise. Yeah, good to see that car out. John Corbin, who was very successful in that car, he's not driving it today. We've got a young man driving that one today. So yeah, there's the first Jedi ever built, and they're still racing successfully now, and particularly they were built as a hill climb car, but there's also a championship they've done, and it's called the F1000 Championship. It's a one-make circuit racing championship, so that's still running, and plus it can be seen by many competitors on the hills. Originally they had the 500 and then the 600cc engine, but some of them now have got 1100cc bike engines in the back, the Suzuki GSX-R engine, which is the engine of choice in the up to 1100 class. Okay, the Jedi seems to be stopped near the S's. I don't know for what reason, whether it's broken down. I suspect it has. The marshals are walking back towards it now, and where they always take a fire extinguisher with them, they take the flags, and just to see what's happened. I don't think there's any problem with the driver. I think it's the car that's decided to not play ball. However, I'm sure they'll soon have that sorted out, hopefully, and get it started and go and complete the run. Just to let you know that at this hill, so when they come off the start and they go up the hill to the finish, there is a return road. So it's quite unique that, well, not unique, but it's certainly handy to have a return road, because other hills, some of them, they get to the top, they get a batch of about 20 or 30 cars up there, then they all come back down together. So by having a return road, it does mean that basically you can just keep it flowing all the time, which is great, except when you get the odd problem. Now they're pushing the Jedi at the moment. Are they going to turn him round and send him back down on freewheel it back to the paddock? Time will tell. Always a slight problem when you're running historic cars, and they don't necessarily get a lot of work. They're not out every weekend. A lot of the time they're sort of more exhibits, so that when they do actually get a chance to have a run, sometimes they can be quite fickle. And the Jedi, to be fair, has been quite fickle most of the weekend. So we hope, I think we're going to get another run of these at the end of the meeting, actually. So hopefully they can get it sorted for then. I'm sure it's only a minor problem. But, it didn't pick up terribly well when it left the start, so I guess there's maybe a little fueling issue. It's only conjecture, isn't it? So we won't be long before we'll be back in action. So what have we got this afternoon for you? Well, the ones we'll be seeing first after the demonstration cars, we've got the Bugatti Owners Club Fascy Classic Speed Championship. Fascy are an Italian manufacturer of parts. And in this class, we've got Class 1 up to Class 4. So it's various classes within the Fascy Championship. Always highly entertaining. A real mixture of cars in there. Anything from Triumph Vitesses, Fiat Abarths, Alfa Romeos, Hillman Imps, Mini Coopers, Fiat 124 Spiders, Fairthorpe Electron, Mallox. We've got several Mallox, Chrysler Sunbeam. So you'll see a wide variety of cars. Then we'll be following that up with the Burt Hadley Memorial Championships, where we've got some Austin Sevens. We've got 4 of those. We will then follow that with the Allard Owners Club, well represented here today from all over the country. And they are basically produced by Sidney Allard in London way back in the day. And they basically ran big American Chevy V8. So here comes the Jedi going back into the paddock, probably free-wheeled down the hill. So he'll go back into the paddock, they'll get that sorted out, and we'll probably see that one later on. So now we await with bated breath and ears the arrival of 2 of the BRMs that are here today, the ex-Niki Lauda car and the V16 50s Grand Prix car. And both of those cars are pretty amazing. The Niki Lauda car runs a V12 engine in the back of it. And actually, under Niki's driving, it was a successful car. But ultimately, the Ford Cosworth DFV became the engine to have, and really was an all-conquering engine, really. But this V12 was successful in Niki Lauda's hands. So yeah, the Jedi goes back in. So I'm hoping to hear the raucous screaming of the V16 BRM very shortly. So yeah, just going through the program a bit more. So we've got the Allard Owners Club. Then we've got the Paul Matty Lotus Championship. Now there's plenty of Elans and Exiges before we get to the big single-seater Lotuses, the Type 69s, the 61s, 35. Lovely cars, which we'll get a good look at later on. We'll follow that. There's a big class of Lotuses. We've then got the ERA register. Now there's 3 of those entered. Extremely rare cars, extremely valuable, and very fast indeed. So they'll be quite a sight to see. We've then got the Bugatti owners, Bugatti Williams Monaco trophy cars. They're up on the terrace. They're Bugattis. Ed Burgess is driving one of those today, and others. They're very worthwhile seeing, very spectacular, very noisy and very fast. In fact, incredible engineering for the period. Here we go. I can see people getting phones out. I can see here comes the ex-Niki Lauda V12 BRM, just leaving the paddock now. Going to probably go straight through the start line. Here it comes now. V12 BRM, Marlboro BRM, cigarette colours, comes to the line now. What a sight. Wow, that looks a bit special, sounds a bit special. Just breathe that in. Enjoy that as it goes up to Historique. The big air intake on the back there, the air intake box, goes round Pardon Hairpin, cruising up the hill. Yes, wouldn't it be lovely to watch a grid of those? Yeah, slows up, speeds up, comes up towards the S's, over the rumble strips, heading up towards semicircle, lots of power in that engine, looks absolutely magnificent, heads off towards the finish. Now, his stablemate is the V16. Let's hope the V16 is behaving itself this afternoon. I'm listening out for it now. You won't miss it. The noise is ear shattering. In fact, some of our photographers, I've seen them wearing earplugs. Hang on. Here we go. Oh yes, here it comes. In British Racing Green. Frightening. Sterling Moss found this a frightening car. Look at this, listen to this. Wow! Spectacular. 500 horsepower in a car that debuted in 1949. It was incredibly complicated. It's got, I was chatting to the chief mechanic who basically built this car. This is a replica car of the original. There's over 30,000 parts in this car, which is absolutely mind-boggling. Gets it around Pardon Hairpin. That's always tricky for a big car like this. Absolutely great. Beautiful. What a treat to see this car. Around the S's now. He's heading up towards semicircle. He goes around semicircle. He's got a fresh air drop on the outside there. Up to the finish. Successfully negotiates the hill. Absolutely fantastic. That was a treat, wasn't it? Beautiful. So now he'll come back down the hill, and then we're going to start off with our time runs with the Fascy Championship cars. The first car we're going to see on the hill is going to be Alistair Clark in the Triumph Vitesse Mark II. This is a 2-litre Triumph Vitesse. Here he comes now up to the start. Gets ready to go. He has rebuilt this car basically out of two Triumphs. Spent lots of time, lots of money. He won the Fascy Championship, which is a handicap class. He won it last year, and it's not necessarily the quickest car that gets up the hill that wins the championship. It's how much you beat your handicap time by. So let's just have a look, see if I can find the times for them. Okay, so Alistair's on his way. He's going to try to beat his handicap time of 62.26. Basically, the ones that beat it by the most, and it is updated as they get faster and faster in that against their handicap. But anyway, Alistair's on his way. He'll be followed by John Barber, who's driving a Fiat Abarth 850. Nürburgring. You notice on the back, on the start line, when you see it, you'll see it's air. The back cover of the engine is prodded up, so it works like a little aerofoil. So Alistair Clark still hasn't finished, he's up at the S's. So we've got John Barber on the hill in the Fiat, and here on the line is Matt Clark. Matt Clark was the fastest driver in this class yesterday, in this little Mini, which is quite extraordinary. He's got a 1460 A-Series engine in it, so it's about as bored out as you can get an A-Series. But he drives it like an absolute demon. He's got a handicap of 50.09, 61.38 there for Alistair Clark. So Matt Clark, he'll be going sideways through Orchard, just past the bridge. There you watch. Four-wheel drifting it. There he goes. Fantastic. Look at that. That's a well-driven Mini. Tremendous. They usually let the next car go when they get up to Pardon Hairpin, round about that area. So we've got Martin Saunders on the line in his Ford Escort Mark 1. He leaves the line. Matt Clark's about halfway up the hill, just approaching the S's. John Barber's just finished in a 63.57. So the times you'll see on the live screen basically are the fastest cars, not necessarily the cars that will win the class because of the handicap. So Matt finishes, he's going up round, he's going to go through the line in a 50.67, and his handicap time was 50.09. Martin Saunders still on the hill. Ian Stringer's just left the line in his Alfa Romeo Gila Sprint GT. And coming onto the line is Simon Braithwaite in his beautifully attired Mark 1 Escort. You look at the preparation on this car, it is quite astounding. It looks amazing. This is the livery that Russell Brooks drove a similar car to this on the RSC Rally right back in the day. This was the Associated Television colours. Leaves the line. That's a spectacular car, brilliant driver. There was only, I think, 100th between him and Matt Clark yesterday, so very, very close indeed. So at the moment, Matt Clark's 50.67, but Simon Braithwaite will be he'll be wanting to beat him. They're intense rivals, incredibly closely matched, and at the moment, Simon is slightly up on Matt Clark. So we've got live screen timing. We've got on the screen, you'll see where it's got a purple sector, that means he's up, and when it's yellow, it's about the same. So he's into the S's now, plants it, going up towards semicircles, a scary fresh air corner, hugs the inside there, slides it out at the top semicircle, fabulous, through the finish, 50.34. He beats young Matt by a few tenths, so that's exciting stuff. So the quickest so far. Dave Parr's on the hill in his Ford Anglia, and he'll be followed by Lee Carter in the Fiat 69. 695 above. I have the lovely young lady in front of me, Gail Knight, one of our esteemed photographers, Rob McDonald's good lady. Good afternoon to you, Gail. Smiling at me, of course. I take a lot of stick from the McDonald's and young Gail all the time. And I expect, is young Jeffrey out there, Gail, somewhere? I don't know. Who knows? Anyway, so Dave Parr finishes in a 56.55, and I'm just looking at that, 55.54 was his handicap time, so he's a little bit over that. Lee Carter's left the line and well on the hill in the little Fiat, as Andrew Clark is on the hill and the Alpha, and Andrew Kearney in the Hillman Imp is on the line. These little Imps have only got little 1000cc engines, but very, very rapid indeed. And I may have a visitor from outer space. Hello.
Hi there.
Hello. Is this the tickets?
Yes.
Right, I'm just going to announce some tickets, folks, because we've got some winners of the Friends of Prescott. In first place is the yellow ticket of 595. Yellow ticket of 595. In second place is the pink ticket of 315. 315 on the pink. Third place is blue 28. Blue 28. You need to claim these tickets within 20 minutes, and you will get, is it all three getting a ride up the hill? First one can have the pick of the cars. Well, there's some interesting stuff over there, isn't there? Excited people. Well, hopefully. Well, okay, if you want me to announce those quickly again. Right, okay. So we've got yellow ticket, 595, first place. Second, pink ticket, 315. Third, blue ticket, 28. Thank you very much, folks. Go and claim your prize. Okay, so we've still got Simon Braithwaite leading the pack in 50.34, Matt Clark second in 50.67, Martin Saunders 52.48, Ian Stringer 54.52. But I would stress it is a handicap class. We've got Peter Cooper is the last runner and rider in that class, and we're now going on to the Bugatti Owners Club Fascy Speed Championship Class 2. And we've got Ted Elwes, and Stephen Akers has just left the line in his. So we've got Ted Elwes in the MGA, and Stephen Akers in the Lotus Allard. So at the moment, Ted, because he was the first runner in that class, has got all purple sectors. But now Stephen Akers has got purple sectors, so I think he may be a tad quicker than Ted. And he'll be followed by Ben Cross, who's just left the line in the MG Midget. So at the moment, Ted has finished in a time of 57.42, but again, it is a handicap class. Ted Elwes, for example, if I can see that, at a 55.84 he was trying to do. He was a couple of seconds a bit slower. The Fiat of David Fripp, the 124 Spider, very pretty car, has just left the line too. And Ted Elwes is now relegated to second place behind Stephen Akers, 56.44. So they're coming thick and fast this afternoon. We've got waiting on the line Stephen Norris in his MGB Roadster. He runs a car restoration business near Tewkesbury, just down the road. This is his first season doing the Fascy Championship, and he will be followed by Gary Cox in the yellow scimitar called Lemon Slice, which is always a fearsomely quick car. Ben Cross has just done a 52.27. He's actually about 4 seconds quicker than the rest in that class so far. And I'm just looking at Ben, he's got a 52.02 was his target time, and he did a 52.27. Good effort from there. Gary Cox is in the line in lemon slice, beautifully prepared scimitar. Runs a 3-litre Ford V6 engine in that one. Sounds great, looks absolutely tremendous. And his dad was here yesterday driving another scimitar, a grey one. There goes Gary. You can hear the unmistakable sound of that V6. Absolutely beautiful. Will be followed by Robert Orford in the MGB Roadster, car number 39. So it'd be interesting to see what sort of time Gary Cox could do. Can he beat the 52.27? And I suspect he probably can. In fact, Gary's handicap time is 49.49. And at the moment, he's got purple sectors all the way up the hill. So I suspect he's going to get the best time. 49.71. 49.71 for Gary Cox. That's good. It's a few tenths outside his handicap time, but very close. Here's the Fairthorpe Electron on the line, car number 40. Robert Orford's on the hill in the MGB, and he will be followed by car 41, another MGB, which is John Cavendish. So at the moment, it's all very clear. It's hard to tell you who's going to win that class because it's all on handicap and they will have to work all that out later. But there will be 2 runs of these cars this afternoon, as there was 2 yesterday as well. So they're having a busy weekend, the Fascy Championship ones. John Cavendish leaves the line, and then here comes the first of the Malloks. And I suspect this is Phil Fisher, which it is Phil Fisher. This is father and son combination. His son Ben is here. They've got several cars in their fleet, but this is one of their favourites. They're co-driving it, and this morning only tenths separated them. They're very, very closely matched. So good to see. These are early Malloks. In fairness, this is a Mallock Mark 11, and all these Malloks basically are front engine cars, which you can see the engine. So he's getting ready to go. They'll put the chock under the back wheel. The timing light will the timing strut on the front of the car has to line up against the timing thing. When it crosses the line, the run goes live. Revs it up, and he's away. He's away nicely. So the Malloks are very quick. The quickest Mallock here today is right on the line now. This is Peter Thurston. Peter Thurston holds the record in this car. So he's the current holder of the BOC Historique Racing Car Trophy. He's the holder of the Fascy Classic HillClimb Classic Fastest Racing Car Trophy. So he's the pick of the bunch. He's usually 3 or 4 seconds quicker than the rest. He's got a very powerful engine in it. He drives it extremely well. Got Jeremy Rivers Fletcher on the hill now. Here he is in his Triumph Special. His Bellamy Special broke yesterday, so he went home locally, picked up this one, so he's driving this one, which I've seen lots of in the past. So who we got? Phil Fisher goes up there in a 51.21. Peter Thurston going through the S's now. He's already well up at the moment. He's on his way up towards semicircle. He's going to finish in a time in the 40s through the finish. 46.26. 46.26. He has got a bogey time of 44.83 because he's the record holder. So he may not win that class, even though he's comfortably the quickest. Jeremy Rivers Fletcher's on the hill. Christopher Wigden has left the line in his Mallock U2 Mark 6B. That's a very early Mallock. He's travelled up from Devon. It's an exposed Mallock, a very early car, as you can see. A bit different from the later models, which we don't have any real late ones here today. But nicely driven car. He used to race in Formula Ford, he was telling me. thoroughly enjoys his racing. And he told me he's going to be at Shelsley Walsh later on in the year, though he's trying to find a bit of accommodation at the moment. And he needs accommodation so he can bring the dogs, bring the wife, bring the support team. So it sounds like it could be quite an expensive weekend. Clive Berry on the hill in the Chrysler Sunbeam 1600 Ti. Unusual car, first time I've seen that car this year. I think it may be a new one to the Fascy Championship. Now we're into some Austin Sevens. So Austin Sevens, so I'm just looking at some other times. 52.19 for Christopher Wigdor. Clive Berry at 54. Now, the Austin Sevens. The first one is Darren Archambault. The Austin 7 Sports. Only 4 in the class, I think, but surprisingly rapid, all with 750cc 4-cylinder engines. Not a lot of horsepower, but some of them have got beautifully built bodies around them, aluminium bodies. And if you look on the line now, we've got car number 52, which is Nick Turley in the Austin 7, but look at the body around that. It's a proper racing car body, all aluminium, looks absolutely tremendous. See the exposed carburetors there on the outside there, the exhaust running front to back on the outside there. That does look a nice bit of thing to drive. Narrow tyres, got wire wheels, very nice indeed. So Darren Archambault finishes in a 62.07. And I'm thinking that is not a handicap championship. But now Colin Danks has gone up there in a 57.92. And the first of the Allards is on the line. Of Jeff Pinch in the Allard K1. There's a nice selection of Allards here. They were basically built in Putney back in the day, and there's several of the owners. In fact, one of the cars here today, which I think is this car here, R56, of James Smith, he still lives in the road where they were built. Big American V8s. This one here, the Allard, is just looking at this. Bear with me a minute. 68.90 for Nick Turley. So Colin Danks, the quickest of the bunch, at 57.92. As Jeff Pinch is on the hill in the Allard K1. James Smith has left the line in the Allard J1. And the Allard J1 has a 4.5 litre engine in. And most of these smaller engine Allards had flathead V8s in them, and then the later ones had Cadillac engines. So they were built, a lot of these were built just after the war, and big American engines were, I think, relatively easy to get hold of. You could get lots of power. Car number 58 has just left the line. That's Ben Stevens in the Allard P1 Fastback. That car was all but destroyed and got rebuilt. He rebuilt that car, and a lot of that is constructed out of fiberglass, that bodywork. Painted silver though, it still looks like polished aluminium, but in fact I believe he was telling me that one has actually got a fiberglass body. James Smith finishes in a 63.88 to go top of the class so far. Ron Dowell in the Allard J2. This is a real beastie boy, this one. This one's got a near 6 litre Cadillac engine in that one, a proper big V8. If you listen to that, it sounds absolutely amazing. Got lots and lots of power. Tyre smoke all off the line for virtually 100 yards. That's incredible. That is one powerful engine. So that one, we'd expect that one to win the class. We'll see. We'll see. Ron Dowell is on the line, car 57. That's another big engine job, nearly 6 litres. And then Mike Butterworth, car 59, is the one on the line. Mike Butterworth is getting a 5.4 litre Cadillac engine, and that one, not quite a spectacular exit as the previous one, but very rapid for all that. Neil Bennett in the Baton Special, car 60 just coming onto the line. Neil Bennett, that's a 5 litre one. I think that's got another caddy in that one. So James Smith leads the way at the moment with a 63.88 in the Allard Owners Club class. We've got Ron Dowell on the hill just finishing. He's going to finish. Oh, we got one stopped on the hill at the moment. So I think that's Ron Dowell, car 59. Mark Butterworth is just coming into Ettores now. I don't know what happened there, whether he got red flagged or whether there was a mechanical issue. Ah, right. So it's just exited Ettores. The marshals are just having a word. They got a red flag. Ah. Okay, so we've got one Allard coming back down the hill now from Pardon Hairpin. So forgive me, I didn't exactly see what happened there. I was looking at the cars here on the line. We've got car 60 waiting on the line. And car 60 is Neil Bennett in the Baton Special. Don't they look great? Looks fun. Got the period number plate CKR 191. Fantastic. So Ron Dowell had a fail. Mark Butterworth had a flag. So Ron Dowell had a problem that stopped him. Mark Butterworth was going on the hill, so he'll get a rerun. And then Neil Bennett will be the next one we'll see in car 60. He starts the engine up. Got a period helmet on. The open face helmet. He puts his goggles on now. We'll try again. That's it. Keep the flies out of his eyes. Gets ready to go. That big V8 engine in that one. That's a very nicely turned out car, that car number 62, isn't it? Here's another one now, car number 61. Car 61, that's Andrew Howe Davis in the Allard Type L, a 4 litre version. I think that's got the flathead engine in that one. It was cheaper to put an American V8 to get instant lots of power than a smaller 4-cylinder side valve engine back in the day. And in fairness, it was quite easy with one of these big American V8s to tweak them a bit and get up to about 350 horsepower, which is a lot of power for these little skinny road tyres. Car 170 joins us on the line. This is Simon Warburton in the Allard P1. And if you notice, he's got a wooden back on that one. He's got a coach built at the back there with some plywood. Varnished the plywood. So I imagine they'd stick a picnic in the boot and off they would go to the countryside. Yeah, that looks like Ben Fisher is having his turn in the car now. Will he be a similar time to his dad's? We will soon find out. But James Smith still the quickest of the Allards, 63.88, comfortably the quickest, but with a few more runners and riders still to go. In fact, one of them's going to get the rerun. He's on his way up to the start line now. The Ben Fisher, the Mark 11 Mallet. Phil, his dad, was telling me that one is due a rebuild, really. It's done a lot of work, that engine, so it could well be time for a rebuild. Here comes 59, car 59, he's getting his rerun. This is one of the quickest of the Allards we saw here today. His polished aluminium body looks absolutely tremendous. I'm trying to work out what he's got sticking out the left-hand side there. Is it a cloth or something? Try not to spin the wheels too much. You just spin the wheels and get a load of tyre smoke. So he's away. Ben Fisher's away. And now Mark Butterworth is away. We've got several cars on the hill. John Langley's just come into the line in his Allard K1. Car 755. And John's got the 4.5 litre V8 in that one. So V8 power is the way to go with an Allard. They went out of business in about the 1950s when basically the competition came up with things like the Jaguar XK120, which a lot of people felt was a far superior car, and they didn't sell so many Allards after that, and they subsequently went out of business. Now we've got a white Audi coming to the line here. I'm not sure what that one's doing. Something to do with an official, perhaps. He's going to follow up, or it could be one of the residents that lives at the top of the hill. Yeah, they put a red flag on, so we have got a big house at the top of the hill where people live, and it's quite a regular thing that they've been down, maybe down to the shops, and they're coming back with their groceries to maybe go on HillClimb.TV and watch the live stream. Slight technical hitch. Mark Butterworth in the Allard J2 has had a moment up at S's. They're just pushing him back. I think he's going to get going. I can't see any major damage on the car. It's just probably a spin. Starting the engine up. Yeah, he's got it running. Marshals are with him and the rescue crew. He's on his way. Yeah, here he goes. So he's on his way up the hill now, up towards semicircle. So, yeah, he'll have a failed run. So, not to be. He was going very well, but now he'll have another go later on. They got another chance to redeem themselves, but at the moment it's looking remarkably like James Smith is the pick of the bunch with a 63.88. And James is driving the Allard J1 with the 4.5 litre V8 in it. So we've still got the white Audi here waiting to go up the hill. Yeah, two folks sat in there, probably got Labradors in the back. I see a young girl in there, she's eating some sweets. Okay, it won't be the fastest time of the day, of course. We hope, but we've had a winner on the raffle for the Friends of Prescott. There should be 3 winners there that will all get a ride up the hill. Well, I've got young Peter be joining me shortly. We've got the Lotuses coming up, and we've got the Austin Healeys then. And then we've got the ERA, so quite a lot of excitement. And then a few more of the demo cars. No, we haven't got the demo cars till the end. So we'll go through the card. We're at the moment, we are on the Allards. We're still on the first page. We've got 2.5 pages of cars to go up. That means nothing to you, but to me, that means we've still got quite lots of cars to go yet. So that's all good. Still got a couple more Allards, and then we're into the Lotus class, which will be very exciting, and the ERAs. On the live screen, it's just showing us the paddock. I just, so 18th of May we had a test day. We've got the Prescott Historique, 25th and 26th of May, which is obviously this weekend. We've got the Midsummer meeting, 8th and 9th of June. We've got the members meeting, 29th of June. We've got the 13th of July, a club meeting. And then the 14th of July, we got the Midland Hill Climb Championship. Then the 3rd and 4th of August, we got the VSCC Vintage Prescott Short Course meeting. 17th of 18th of August, we've got the British Hill Climb Championship. And then back again soon after, we've got the 7th and 8th of September, the British Hill Climb Championship. So that 17th and 18th of August is where we lost a meeting earlier in the year. It had to be postponed. Unfortunately, we had waterlogged parking areas and a lot of problems with water. Basically, we had a wet spring. That's all sorted now. We've had new drainage put in, and basically it's all looking very pristine again. Then on the 28th of September, we got the VSCC Vintage Prescott Long Course, which is the course we're on today. And then 5th and 6th of October, we've got the Hill Climb season finale. And then on the 2nd of November, we've got Rally Prescott, which is our closer. And that basically runs rally cars into the dark. So incredibly exciting, well worth seeing. But that's then. At the moment, we're on Prescott Historique, and actually, we're only on our, well, effectively our first meeting of the year. So here we are, 25th, 26th of May, and we're on our first meeting. So we lost, I think, 2 meetings, I think, to the weather. Thank you, Rich, for putting that up. Rich Danby's bringing you the coverage on HillClimb.TV today. Like and subscribe. And even if you want to put a few bob into the channel, you can actually become a member of the channel from only 99 pence a month, which helps out. And then there's another one which is £5.49 a month, called the 2 Second Club, and then the full Monty Club is about £12 odd a month. Hang on, I have a visitor. Okay, folks. Pink Ticket 315, Pink Ticket 315 has not been claimed. They have got second place. In first place, Richard Burdett, and in third place is Graham Sanderson. But the Pink Ticket still hasn't been claimed. They've got 5 minutes, and then you'll draw again, will you?
Yes, and if Richard Burdett could come.
If Richard Burdett could come to the Prescott, Friends of Prescott shop, that would be very useful, I'm told. I will await developments with bated breath. You'll be back, eh? You'll be back. He'll be back, he said. Okay, Friends of Prescott was formed to raise funds to improve the facilities offered to all visitors to Prescott. So if you'd like to support their work, visit HTTPS and all this stuff, Friends of Prescott. Or you can Google Friends of Prescott and I'm sure it'll come up. But I'll give you that, https://is.gd/Friends of Prescott. That's a mouthful, isn't it, really? I'm not very good on all this sort of stuff. Anyway, I think we're going to be back in business soon. We've got the old mallard, the Allard. I called it a mallard then. It's not a duck. No, it's an Allard. Right. Here comes the Allard car 755. This one is John Langley. His Allard K1, 4.5 litre V8 in the front of it. What sort of time can he give us? And then we'll be following that with some rather lovely Lotuses. Oh, a big squeal of tyres as he leaves the line. Now we've got some noisy twin cam Elans. Beautiful little Elans. The Elans now were designed by Colin Chapman back in the day. They all ran Lotus twin cam engines in them. Brilliant hand little cars. Extremely valuable now. Some of these can be worth £50,000–£60,000. So there's no cheaper Elans anymore. And there'll be some more modern ones following them up the hill as well. And then we'll get into the big single-seaters. Well, lovely. We're into the Lotus class now. The Allard Owners Club still James Smith leading the way with a 63.88. John Langley has just gone second in that class, 65.09. Howard Davis, Andrew Howard Davis, 66.01. Now we're into the Paul Matty Lotus Championship. We've got an Elan on the hill of Steve Millwood, and he'll be followed by Philippa Dowell, lady driver driving the Lotus Exige. Very nice little Lotus Exige, and the car following him is also another little Lotus Elise, I think. It's Elise Mark III, John Palmer. So Steve Millwood on the hill finishes in a 55.18 to set the pace. Now Philippa Dowell, can she beat that? We will find out very shortly. as John Palmer lines up on the line in his Lotus Elise 3. Now most of these little Lotus Elises ran K-Series, little K-Series Rover engines. Very effective little unit. They're mounted over the back wheels pretty much. They're mid to rear engine, I guess you'd call it. Very effective rear wheel drive. And like with all Lotuses, they're built light and they are built to handle, which they're great little cars. So Philippa heads up towards the line. Going to be slower than Steve Millwood. 60.91 for Philippa. John Palmer leaves the line as another beautiful Elan Sprint. Car number 78 comes to the line, and this is Keith Wilford. Beautifully turned out car in green, white and gold. Sometimes you see them in red, white and gold, like the Lotus team Gold Leaf Lotus, which were the cars like the Lotus 49 that Graham Hill would have raced back in the day. So at the moment John Palmer's showing all purple sectors going up the hill, so he may well end up being the quickest so far, as Keith Wilford leaves the line, as another car comes to the line, number 80 of Pete Bottrell in an Elan S3. Beautiful looking thing, that one. Again with Paul Matty stickers on the side. I was chatting to Paul Matty at lunchtime. He was telling me actually, I think he sold the business and it's now relocated under new ownership in Stourport. And I think the old mechanics and co are all working in Stourport now, I believe. And he sold the parts business, but he still sponsors the championship. He's here driving today, and his wife June is also here driving today in Lotus single-seaters. As Keith Wilford leaves the line, Pete Bottrell has left the line, and also Phil Carver is just about to leave the line in his Lotus Elise. So a 55.92 for Keith Wilford, still slower than John Palmer, who still leads the way with a 54.32. This is a very well supported class, the Lotus class. And very shortly we will start to see some of the single seaters. And yesterday, David Hampton was the quickest car here yesterday, set fastest time of the day in his Lotus 69. If I remember rightly, it was about 49 seconds, but I could be wrong. Right, Pete Bottrell is just finished in a 54.82, so that takes him second in the class, in the Paul Matty class. Car 87 of Clive Buffy in the Elan has just left the line as car 88 comes to the line, and that car is Charles Hamer in the Lotus Elise. We will get to the end of the Lotus class. Peter Hughes will take over from me then to take you to the finish of the respective classes before we do it all again. So car 89 on the line is Richard Swindle in the Elan, very pretty yellow Elan, covered in Paul Matty stickers, that one. Clive Buffy is just about to finish. He's going to finish in a time of 58.85. Charles Hamer's about just going round Pardon Hairpin as Richard Swindle leaves the line in his Elan S3. So I've got Luke Mason in the Elise on the line. I've got Richard Swindle halfway up the hill, and I've got Charles Hamer about to finish in a time of 55.05, so that will take him fourth in the class so far. Car 770 coming to the line now. 770 is Jane Millwood in the Lotus Elan S3. This is a very pretty car, isn't it? In the blue two-tone paint scheme, the blue. Alloy wheels on it, big stripes down the middle, makes it look absolutely tremendous. It's a very spirited exit off the line there for Jane, as Luke Mason is well up the hill. John Palmer still leads the way with a 54.32. Christopher Dowell on the line in his Lotus Exige, car number 771. Here's one of my little favourites just coming to the line now, car number 72. This is David Giddon in the beautiful little Lotus 23, proper little racing car, absolutely stunning. Look how low it is to the deck. Will be very rapid indeed. I expect that to go well under 54. As we start to get the first of the single-seater Lotuses of Anthony Shute coming to the line, car 73. So David Giddon is also already doing purple sectors. The quickest in that class so far is John Palmer. So this little car is built for the job, absolutely tremendous, great power to weight ratio, brilliant handling at being so low. Anthony Shute leads the line in the Lotus 69 Formula Ford. Now we're into some quick stuff. We've got Malcolm Thorne. Malcolm's here with his wife Sarah. They both drive Lotuses. She's not driving today. She had a problem with hers yesterday. Malcolm's driving the regular car I see him out in. This is one of the prettiest cars you will see. Malcolm in his 69 Formula 2 car, Lotus 69. In fact, he's running a 2-litre engine in this one. He'd be gunning for fastest time of the day with Paul Hampton, no doubt. It's very closely contested. Palmer coming to the line in his Lotus 69 FB. This car he bought this from Switzerland, but it originally came from America. It's in yellow. He had some understeering problems yesterday, but he seems to be sorting that out, getting quicker and quicker. Amongst the quick Lotuses, Malcolm's going up the hill now. He's heading up towards semicircle. We're getting a bit of a steer on the quickest single-seaters. Malcolm's going to be finishing in a 46.94. A 46.94 for Malcolm Thorne. Excellent run. Takes him comfortably quickest. Anthony Shute did a 48.41, but he was in a Formula Ford Lotus. Car 81 is on the line. This is June Matty. This is Paul Matty's wife. She's driving the Lotus 69 Formula 3 car. Very pretty little car in white. Looks remarkably like a twin cam in the back of that one, and it's sounding like a twin cam. Absolutely scorches off the line. Let's see what June can do. So at the moment, Malcolm still leads the way with a 46.94. I got my man coming back to see me, young Don. What have we got, young Don? A new winner, yeah?
Yes, the other one's not turned up.
All right, the other one has not turned up, but the new winner is Yellow Ticket 544. Yellow Ticket 544. If you'd like to go to the Friends of Prescott office, you will get immediately, I'm told, immediately, so I hope you're not halfway up the hill or at the top at semicircle. We'll allow them 5 minutes, so just get your helicopter out and get yourself to the Friends of Prescott office. We'll see them there, he says. I'm sure they'll welcome you with open arms. Okay, thanks very much. Right, okay, so June Matty, what have we got? Malcolm still leads the way with a 46.94. Adrian Reed a 47.25. Anthony Shute a 48.41. We've got on the line, we've got Anthony Wallen in the 69 F3. David Hampton, yesterday's quickest man's on the hill. He's got purple sectors so far. Paul Matty's on the hill as well, finishes in a 49.93. And we've got David Hampton. He was the quickest man yesterday. He's just gone out of the S's. He's heading up towards semicircle. What's he going to do for us? He's got to beat a 46.94. Goes through the line. 46.64. David Hampton. Well done, that man. That's going to take some beating in the Lotus class in this first run this afternoon. Got Anthony Wallen on the hill at the moment, and Brian Meddings coming to the line, car 86 in the Lotus 51. Very pretty little car, actually. Little 1600 engine in the back of that one. It's almost in Brabham colours, that one, isn't it? In the green and gold. Got a powerful little engine, lightweight, single-seater car, very quick exit, first 64 feet. Anthony Wallen heads up towards the line in a 45.48. Oh, he goes into the lead. Well done, Anthony, in the Lotus 69. That's going to take some beating, isn't it? One runner on the hill left that could possibly beat that is Brian Meddings in the Lotus 51. At the moment, he's not going to beat that. He's down on the times. So it's looking remarkably like Anthony Wallen has pulled that one out of the fire. Brian hasn't finished yet, but at the moment he is in yellow sectors, so he needs a bit of catching up to do. I'm going to say now he's not going to do it as he heads up towards semicircle. Karen Buffy has just left the line in the Elan. So Brian Meddings is just finishing in a time of 53.56. Anthony Wallen has it. Well done, Anthony, from David Hampton and Malcolm Thorne and Adrian Reed. I have got new commentator for you. Here he comes now. I'm going to take the headphones off. Peter Hughes, over to you, young man, as an ERA is on the head.
So thanks very much to Chris for that commentary. Chris will be back with us a little bit later on, but as Karen Buffy comes towards the end of her run, then the first of the ERAs, the beat time of David Ellison, heads off the line now. Karen recording a 63.86. David Ellison rounding Tories, pushing on up towards Pardon, which he heads around now as Ben Fiddler sits on the line in the ERA D type. Away goes Ben Fiddler then in that detail. One more ERA to come, I think. As Ben is rounding Ellison's. Torres Ellison, Dave Ellison has done a 56.42. Got 97 up onto the line now. That's Tom Hardman in the ERA AJM. Ben Fiddler then looking to better that 56.42 as Tom Hardman goes away. Ben quicker so far. Tom Hardman then pushing on up towards Ben's time of 51.61. So he takes the lead amongst the ERAs as Tim Dutton is the first of our Bugattis, that Type 44 Bugatti that he's out in today rather than the Type 51. But there is a Type 51 coming up to the line now because our record holder, Bugatti record holder Ed Burgess brings his onto the line now. Car 102. Dutton on his way up to Pardon in the Type 44. As Tom Hardman records a 54.30 and comes second quickest of the ERAs. Away goes Ed Burgess. Under the bridge he goes, on up towards the Torres. To that right-hand hairpin as Alex Risk brings the type 13 Brescia up to the line. And Tim Dutton does a 62.37. Ed Burgess meanwhile is rounding Pardon and on up to midway. Quicker so far than Tim Dutton's time in the Type 44. Away goes Alex Risk then in that older Type 13. As up to the line comes Ed Burgess, and he does a 53.22. So hopefully the best Bugatti time at the moment. Who stops is on the line with his Type 35. As Alex Risk goes around the Torres. Then goes Bruce. Alex heads away from Pardon. And we're going to be moving on to the TR Register Championship for Triumphs. Who stops, comes into the hairpin now. Goes to the TRs will be the Saloon, the Triumph Dolomite Sprint of Tony Brown. Alex Risk then, 68.13, not understandably third quickest so far in that older machine. Under the bridge goes the Dolomite Sprint of Tony Brown. Onto the line comes the V8 convertible TR7 of Larry Gentleman Croft. And the Torres goes the Dolomite Sprint. Bruce stops coming towards the end of the run. A 59.73 for Bruce in the Type 35 moves him into second place at the first runs for the Bugattis. Larry Croft on his way up the hill in the TR7 V8. Into the S's goes the Triumph Dolomite Sprint of Tony Brown. On the line we've got John Whedon in his Triumph TR4. TR7 convertible round Pardon. It's on to midway. Terry Brown's time, a 58.63. As away goes John Whedon in the TR4. And next up it is the fuel-injected TR6 of Roger McEwen, car number 109. John Whedon going around that right-hand hairpin under Torres and on up. Short sprint up to the second hairpin Pardon. It's quick off the line but has dropped back a little bit from Larry Jerome Croft, who now has the fastest time with a 53.80. McEwen is on the hill. Jerry Vincent has brought his Triumph TR7 Sprint up to the line. John Whedon does a 55.40, which moves him into second place, but just over a second and a half slower than the TR7 ahead of him. Jerry Vincent is away in his 2-litre TR7 as the V8 TR7 comes up to the line, the car of Alistair Flack, car number 112. Jerry round Torres. Pardon, then goes the 2-litre TR7. Roger McEwen does a 62.16, that puts him in 4th place at the moment. Off goes Alistair Flack up to the line, now comes along with the 2-litre TR7's car 113. That's Graham Ramsey. V8 on Alistair around Torres, and really pressing on, getting the power on, runs a bit wide as it exit into Pardon. He goes a little bit twitchy on coming out of there, but he is at the moment setting fastest times, or fastest intermediate times anyway. As Raymond Ramsey goes away in his TR7. And we move on to the Healey Sports Series, and the Austin Healey Sprite Mark 5 of Gowashand is on the line. Alistair Flack coming up to the finish line. What's his time? It's a 51.00, and Alistair is quickest of the triumphs so far by some 2.8 seconds as Gowashand gets away in his small Healey. Then we have the big Healey coming onto the line, ready to start, and that's Ian Thomas in the 3000 Mark II. Go around the hairpin. Torres on up to Pardon as away goes Ian Thomas in the big Healey. And Graham Ramsey in the 2-litre TR7 does a 64.67. Well, up to the line comes car 122, Claire Giles in the Mark 1 Austin Healey Sprite. The 3000 of Ian Thomas negotiates the hairpin successfully, runs on up to the left-hand hairpin at Pardon.
Still got the third winner to respond, so we're making the last.
Claire Giles is on the hill. 55.39 for Gowashand as Stephen Casson comes up to the line. Well, it's a final call for our third winner in the Friends of Prescott lottery to win a ride up the hill, and it is Yellow 544. Yellow 544. You have 5 minutes to claim your prize. Go to the Friends of Prescott shop and you claim your prize. We won't be redrawing that one, but if you can get there in the next 5 minutes, then you have won a trip up the hill. So it's Ian Thomas who is quickest amongst the Healey Sport contenders at the moment with his 53.99, ahead of Gowashand with a 55.39, and then it is Claire Giles with a 57.25. Stephen Casson going well at the moment though in the Lenham Sprite, just about to go under the line, and he does a 52.75 to take the lead then at the moment amongst the Healey Sport contenders. Philip Gardner is on the hill, but he seems to be running very slowly out of Pardon as Robert Owen gets underway in the Healey Sprite, the Froggo Sprite. And Richard Salisbury brings his Sebring Sprite up to the line now as Robert Owen heads out of Pardon, to Victoria's rather, and towards Pardon. And it is now Stephen Casson who is the quickest with a 52.75, so a second and a quarter quicker than anyone else at the moment in class. Robert Owen continues on his way up, and away goes Richard Salisbury in the Sebring Sprite. Sebring Sprite goes underneath the bridge on up to Torres, and Robert Owen does a 56.94 to move into 4th place in these first runs. John Ducker sits on the line in his Healey 100 as Richard Salisbury sets out to negotiate Pardon. John Ducker gets away, and up to the line comes car 128, and that's Brett Dillon in the Austin Healey Sprite. So it's Stephen Cosson then is leading at the moment by about a second and a quarter as John Ducker ran to Torres in that two-tone Healey 100. On up to Pardon he goes as away goes Brett Dillon off the line, and it's another of the big Healeys coming up to the line, another of the 3000s. This is car 129, and it is Trish Cecile Pritchard in the Smart 1 Healey 3000. Cecile is from Chinnor in Oxfordshire. This is a BN7 two-seater Healey 3000 Mark 1. Runs on triple Weber carburetors. It's got an aluminium head and various other modifications as well. Took a win first time out at Anglesey. A rare two-seater early Mark 1. A lot of the Mark 1s were sort of 2+2, as it were, the BT7 rather than this BN7. Meanwhile, Gerald Wilby is on the hill in the Jensen Healey Mark 1, and Navdeep Bhamra is on the line with the Austin Healey Sprite. Trish Cecile Pritchard does a 57.37, which puts her into 8th place, a little more than a 10th back from Claire Giles, in fact, as Navdeep gets away. Moving Coxon brings his Healey 100 up to the line. Navdeep rounding Torres at the moment, and going up on to Pardon, as we get a 50, well, that was an intermediate time, in fact, for Gerald Wilby, so we'll wait a little bit longer to see how the Jensen Healey is done, and it does a 65.37. Oh, Mike Moore is on the line now with his Austin Healey Sprite. This is a seated Sprite, in fact. As Navdeep Bhamra finishes his run, 59.91 seconds, puts him in 10th place in class. Away goes Mike in the Healey Sprite. And plenty of tyre smoke coming from our next runner, car 134, the big Healey 3000 of Richard Mason. This is a Mark II Healey 3000. Mike Moore rounding Tories, and at the moment at least, well, it was a good start, certainly off the line. Dropped a little bit of time now as he comes to Pardon. 61.90 from Irving Coxon is 11th place. Richard Mason is away in the Mark II Healey 3000, and Hugh Edwards in his Healey 3000 sits on the line. Richard Mason, as he comes into Pardon, has just gone the quickest on the intermediates. As Mike Moore moves into 3rd place with a 54.62. Michael Berry will be next off the line with the Austin Healey 100M. Richard Mason still looking quick, lost a little bit of time on the last intermediate that we saw. He goes over the line, does a 52.93, and that puts him into 2nd place, less than 0.2 of a second slower than our current leader, Stephen Gasson, with obviously a second run still to come. Michael Berry is on the hill, 138 up to the line, the Healey 3000. Also Peter Walton in the BT7 Healey 3000. Berry rounding and Torres and going on up towards Pardon. Hugh Edwards meanwhile coming close to the end. 59.26 for Hugh Edwards, puts him 12th in class at the moment. As Peter Walton gets away in his big Healey, the second driver in the Triumph Dolomite Sprint brings that car up to the line. So Michael Berry, I think, running pretty wide there, but keeping it on the black stuff, as Robert McGregor sits in the Dolomite Sprint on the line. Peter Walton ends up towards Pardon, and Michael Berry with a 53.04 moves into 3rd place and there's less than 0.3 of a second separating the top three at the moment. Maxwell Shand is in the Austin Healey Sprite, so we're moving on to the we're still with the Healey register. Of course, we've got this lone Triumph second driver car going into Farden at the moment. Peter Walton has done a 54.07 that puts him into 5th place after these first runs, as Maxwell Shand ends up the hill in the Healey Sprite, the last of the Healey registers. But we've still got this TR register, the Healey Sports contenders, I should say. We've got the TR register car, which is now completed, no, hasn't quite completed the run in fact. So we wait a little bit longer. It does a 58.71, so Robert McGregor goes 6th in the TR register category as Maxwell Shand continues up the hill and has put in a couple of quick intermediate times in the Sprite, really throwing it there through midway and the S's, and again sets another quickest time as he goes into semicircle. Could he take fastest time after the first runs? Yes, he can. 52.02 by nearly 3/4 of a second. He takes the lead, but just the top four separated by just 1.02 seconds after the first run. So all looking very, very close indeed. And we wait for the Formula 500s to come up to us. First of those Formula 500s to get underway, it's Richard Roberts in the Mark 11 Cooper, powering his way on towards Prescott at the moment. As up to the line comes 141. John Dent then in the Mark 8 Cooper waits on the line. Richard Roberts exits Pardon, Dent gets away. John Dent heads around the Torres. As Alistair Dent in his Mark 5 Cooper comes up to the line. Richard Roberts goes down the gauntlet with a 53.83 second run as Alistair Dent gets away. Alistair under the bridge on up to Victorious. John Dent not quite able to match Richard Roberts' intermediate times as he goes on up the hill. Mark Dent now is on the line with the Cooper Mark 8. John Dent's time of 59.20. Alistair Dent also down on the intermediates compared to Richard, who leads currently. Mark Dent there going towards the bridge and past the bridge and on up to Vittori's. Alistair Dent does a 56.73, which moves him into a 4th spot. Now it is the Janetta G12 car 171, driven by David Teal, that sits on the line. Mark Dent still running towards the finish as the Janetta gets away. Stone sits on the line in the Golf liveried Porsche 911 RS, but there's a problem for the Janetta. He stopped on the hill before, or just after it, always by the looks of it. So the Janetta, not quite sure, he's pulled off the hill, but red flags are out. He will need, whether he can get back down the hill or under his own steam, or whether he'll need recovery, I'm not sure. He's stationary at the moment just after Torres, obviously a mechanical problem for that little Janetta. It will be a failed run, unfortunately, then for David in the Janetta. Car 171, he's moving again now. And he's going to make his way on up the hill by the looks of it, or is he going to turn right and come back down the hill? He stopped again, in fact, or very nearly stopped. Now he has stopped. Marshall's going to assist him. As ever, huge thank you to all our marshals for their efforts, put in purely for the love of the sport, and they do a fantastic job. And if you're interested in marshalling, well, you'll find information on how to get involved in the program, or on the Prescott Hill Climb website, Prescott Hill Climb, all one word, .co.uk. So the Janetta is about to be sent back down the hill, I think. He turns right. And down the hill he comes. He'll go into the paddock, and then we'll be able to get things back underway. So the Porsche 911 RS has fired back up. And away goes Chris Stone then in the Porsche. Meanwhile, it's the V8, clinched TR7 V8 of Maxwell Burley Jones that comes up. It's of course the Bugatti Owners Club members and all comers handicap class now. Away then goes Maxwell. And the Janetta is back with us, so a rerun by the looks of it for David Tiras. Meanwhile, Chris Stone does a 55.10 in the 911 RS. Maxwell Brealey Jones though going quicker on the early intermediates as he goes around Pardon. second time, then goes the Janetta G12. Under the bridge, then once again in towards Indoors as Maxwell Bailey Jones does what's an intermediate time. Let's find out. He is quickest overall, and he's done a 52.82 on the that's his scratch time, of course. This is a handicap category, as away goes the Riley Special Car 155, and red flags are out on the hill once again. Not quite sure what the problem might be there. Like, can I see a car stop possibly higher up the hill? I see marshals. Yep, there is a car stop then. So that will be the Janetta again, I think, that has stopped on the hill. So we're seeing a replay on the live stream, and I think he's gone off onto the grass and has made contact with the barriers, I think. So that run obviously will be abandoned. Driver is out of the car, and the medical services making their way down just to be on the safe side, but he is out and standing by the side of the car, I think. Sitting on the line at the moment is the Fraser Nash Shalsey of David Price car 156. So a little bit of recovery work for the marshals to do then before we can get the runs resumed. Recent run for David Saxel in the Riley TT Sprite. Don't forget this competitive hill climb action here at Prescott in a couple of weeks on the 8th and 9th of June with the Midsummer meeting. And then two-wheel action on the 23rd with Prescott Bike Fest. Then round in June off on the 29th, a members meeting, and then a members only garden party on the 30th of June. In July we have a club meeting on the 13th of July, and then a round of the Midland Hill Climb Championship on the 14th. August, we start August off with the Vintage Prescott short course meeting, and that is the 3rd and 4th of August. The delayed round of the British Hill Climb Championship, which should have been in April but was affected by the weather, that will be on the 17th and 18th of August. And then they're back again for the British Hill Climb Championship on the 7th and 8th of September. On the 28th of September, we have the vintage cars here once again, but this time tackling the long course rather than the short course that they use in August. The Hill Climb season finale is on the 5th and 6th of October. And then we round things off with a pretty unique event. Rally Prescott sees lots of rally cars taken to the hill for runs both in daylight and with lights. And that really is a very special day, the 2nd of November, Rally Prescott. So that's some of the events ahead of you. And don't forget that you can find out more about the events and lots of other things that go on here at Prescott on the website, prescotthillclimb.co.uk. Red flag's still out on the hill at the moment, and work being done to recover that Janetta before we can get things back underway. Those of you actually here at Prescott today, if there are any of those events that you can't make it to, then some of them at least will be streamed on HillClimb.TV. Lots of HillClimb related action on there though, so worth checking it out. HillClimb.TV. Anyone who's watching on the live stream, if you have any questions, just message me and I'll do my very best at least. I can't promise, but I will do my best to answer them. So it looks as if recovery work is well underway. The marshals are busy sweeping to clear the track so that we can get things happening once again. Hello to Adrian Passman, who's watching on live stream from Jersey and the Channel Islands. Great to have your company. Hope you enjoy your home hill climb out there in Jersey. Hills on both Jersey and Guernsey, of course, which are used in the British Hill Climb Championship. Old Xeratech say greetings from Frostbite Falls, Minnesota in the USA. Great event coverage. Well, thank you for that from for those of you in Frostbite Falls, Minnesota. Not sure if I'd want to live there, if that's an accurate name for your hometown, but I'm sure you there's lots of good things to say about Minnesota. But pleased that you're enjoying our coverage anyway. SRW48 having a quiet day at home after commentating at Aintree yesterday. Michael Lapensee is spending his morning watching the action apparently. And some great old cars, he says. Cheers from Florida. Cheers to you, Michael. Tom, forgive me if I haven't got this right, but Tom Ridinger, I think it's Ridinger, is watching from Munster in France. Hi, Tom. Tom Ridinger says that we build Bugatti's cars here. That's obviously in France. That's the man I think just messaged us from Munster, is it? A message here for someone I think who was actually here at Prescott from David Feekings. He says a massive 60th birthday. Happy birthday to Robert Feekings, who is spectating. So if you're close to Robert now, give him a round of applause, sing him happy birthday. He's 60 today. A youngster by my standards. Plague Dr. Johnson says, watching from New Zealand. What time of day is it in New Zealand at the moment to be watching hill climbing? But we're glad you're with us, Plague Dr. Johnson. Deerwood 1969, watching from Muncie, Indiana. Oh, obviously not that far from one of the most famous race circuits in the world, and isn't it the 500 a day, I believe? Also, of course, the Monaco Grand Prix today, but we won't be talking about that. In case any of you are recording it to watch later, don't want to hear the results, well, rest assured I won't be telling you any of them. Work's still going on up there on the hill, just after Pardon, to deal with the incident involving the Janetta G12. Just wondering if possibly some of the it's difficult to see from the angle that we're at, but it's possible, of course, that some of the tie wall might have been displaced, and that is having to be dealt with before we can continue. Well, just looking at a video replay of the incident, it looked very much as if there's a bit of a lock-up for the Janetta as he went into Pardon, and then ran wide on the way out and into the barrier on the outside. He's now coming back down. The car is coming back down on a trailer. Doesn't look heavily damaged. But presumably some suspension issues maybe, or something of that nature. The Bobcat, known affectionately as the Tonka, is on its way down the hill as well. Marshals are getting back into position, and hopefully we're going to be able to resume action fairly shortly. Martin Morgan is watching from Hereford in England, so not too far away from us. You really must come along sometime, Martin. I hope you're enjoying the coverage. Great coverage, you say. Well, thanks for that. Enjoy your afternoon with us. Hello to Carol Nichols. That comes from everyone at XL Motorsport, who are watching whilst repairing Millie, the car from damage done at Loughton Park last week, by the sounds of it. HillClimb at Loughton last weekend. I was actually at a circuit meeting at Mallory Park. One or two cars there might have needed a little bit of work doing on them after the meeting as well. Neil Smith delighted he isn't at Kerber because he says it's chucking it down here. I'm glad we haven't got that weather at the moment. Feet up instead, watching Prescott. Okay, well, lean back, relax, and enjoy the action, Neil. Which is about to resume. That action about to resume by the looks of it very soon. Emma Jacobs had been planning to go to the MG Car Club HillClimb up at Scamandham Dam, but says it's wet up north too. So she's with us watching on HillClimb.TV. So hi Emma, enjoy. Not just in this country either. Tom Von Hatten says it's stormy here in St. Louis, Missouri. I've been to St. Louis a number of years ago. Very interesting city. And says it's a great way to spend a Sunday morning watching the wonderful classic cars here. Glad you're enjoying it, Tom. Mads Hill is in Spain cheering for Graham Hill. cars back out and sitting on the start line once again. After that bit of a delay, the Fraser Nash Shelsley of David Pryke, car number 156. So the clerk of the course car back, and away we go. Action's back underway then, as I say, with David Pryke in the Fraser Nash Chelsea, competing in the BOC, Bugatti Owners Club members, and all province handicap category. Tom Richardson brings the Gypsy GN Special, in fact, with a 5.7 litre engine under the bonnet. Car 158 sits on the line as David Pryke negotiates pardon. And away goes Tom Richardson. Under the bridge goes Tom, and up to the line comes car 157, the Riley Special of Chris Table, 1500cc machine. It's Tom Richardson round Torres. David Pryke does a 55.69, so our first actual time in the Bugatti Owners Club Handicap. This table sits on the line. Richardson continues on up, doesn't manage to match the intermediate times of David Pryke, but don't forget he does a 57.01 in fact. Don't forget this is a handicap though, so scratch times aren't the be all and end all. As another Riley comes up the line, this is the Riley TT Sprite of David Saxel, beautiful looking car, 155. In the TT Sprite as the Riley Special. Chris Table comes towards the end of his run, and up onto the line comes 161 Nigel Harper in the MGJ2. Chris Table's time of 62.34 means he's currently in third place as David Saxel heads around the Torres in that lovely TT Sprite on up to Pardon. Nigel Harper is on his way. And a slightly more modern single-seater comes up to the line. This is the Brabham BT16 of Ian Baxter, car 163. Still on scratch times, it's David Pryke who has set the quickest time. David Saxel does a 65.03, away goes Nigel Harper, away goes Ian Baxter, and up to the line comes car number 91. It's Tim Spencer in the Lotus Mark 6. Ian Baxter going well at the moment, quickest intermediate times in the first 3-4 sections. Next car up to the line is car 168. Spencer goes winning in the Lotus, Paul Marty Lotus Championship. As away goes Peter Joy in his Lotus 7. 169 Mark Wojciechowski in the Mini Cooper. Tim Spencer, a 65.29 in the Lotus Mark 6. Away goes Mark in his Mini. And up comes car 165. That's Howard Harman in the MGTC. Mark Wojciechowski around Itores. Peter Joy does a 57.335. So we're competing in the handicap class in that car as Howard Harman heads away, and up to the line comes car 173. And that's Carol Nichols in the Nike Mark 4 Formula Ford car as the Mini rounds semicircle up to the line. What can Mark Wojciechowski do? He does a 55.77. Currently puts him second on scratch times in the class. 175 comes up to the line now. And that is Les Buck in the Pringett Mistral Formula Ford car. Carl Nichols just rounding Itores. On up to Arden. Howard Hartman on the last section of the hill in the MGTC and does a 66.18. Les Buck is on his way up the hill. Meanwhile, we have the Porsche 911 RS, this time in the hands of the vastly experienced David Franklin, car 178. Carol Nichols does a 56.18 and up to the line as David Franklin heads away. It's the 179 car of Mike Henney, Lotus 51, that comes to the start line. Les Buck does a 51.08. Fastest scratch time in the class at the moment as David Franklin goes into Pardon. Away goes Mike Henney, and that's in the Lotus. And up comes car 741. That's the MGB GTS driven by David Slade. Does a 52.71 to move into second place on scratch times as the TR7 V8 car 880, the second driver of this car, of course, comes to the line. That's Pete Fletcher in this TR7 4.5 litre TR7 V8. Mike Henney going well at the moment as he comes up to the line in the Lotus 51, does a 50.38. Best scratch time so far, 7/10 quicker than Les Buck. Fletcher is on his way in the TR7. The MGB GTS is going through the S's. TR7 V8 then comes up to Pardon. Time for David Slade, 58.72. .63 for Pete Fletcher in the TR7. Maxwell Barley Jones in the same car did a 52.82, and that I think completes the first practice runs, and the course car is on its way up the hill to check things out, after which I think we're going to see the the prize winners possibly going up the hill in the various classic cars. So we just wait for these friends of Prescott cars. So we still wait for the prize winners to out onto the hill for their run up in the three cars, the BMW Isetta bubble car, the 1934 Daimler Light 15 and the 1926 fixed head Morris Cowley bullnose. So we continue to wait then for the prize winners. It'll be our prize winner number one is Graham Sanderson, who's opted to travel in the BMW Isetta 300cc bubble car. Dates back to 1959. Hard to imagine when you look at where BMW are these days, but this car was actually credited with saving BMW from bankruptcy. The directors of BMW bought the license to manufacture it from Isetta of Italy. There is the BMW Isetta. 6 different plants around the world that made these cars. This one is owned by Baz Allen. It was built in Brighton, 25,000 of them were built there in Brighton, and in total about 160,000 were sold all around the world before the Mini came along, and that was the end in effect for microcars. Second car on the hill is the 1934 Daimler Light 15, and the third car, the Morris Cowley Bullnose. The Light 15 was really Daimler's effort to move away from just building huge royal limousines and into volume production. Baz Allen's had this car for 8 years and done a complete mechanical overhaul. It runs a Wilson pre-select gearbox, which gives it a very smooth ride, I'm told. But the restoration, a little bit of a money pit, Baz says. And then we have the 1926 1500cc fixed head Morris Cowley Bullnose. In this day it was known as the Doctor's Coupe, and it was built at Cowley in Oxford, where they still build Minis to this day. If you look closely at the Bullnose, you'll see it only has one door, and that door is actually on the passenger side, which might go some way to explaining that in the last year of production they only ever sold 8 of these, and this is actually the last of these cars that was ever built. So hopefully our prize winners enjoy. Somebody stops and is rolling backwards in the second of the 2 cars. That's the Daimler had a bit of a problem, but he's back underway now, thankfully. Bullnose is now going around, pardon. Big thank you to everybody who entered the raffle, and a good sum of money raised for the Friends of Prescott, and all that money will go to improving facilities here at the Hill Climb. So thank you so much if you entered the raffle. And of course, it goes without saying that we're hugely grateful to Baz Allen, whose cars these are, for donating these rides and helping Friends of Prescott raise funds. Thanks, Baz. Once these passenger runs are completed, it will be back to the time runs and the second timed run. We'll be getting underway very shortly. Well, when the second runs get underway, it will be Chris to talk you through the first part of those. In the meantime, I'm heading off for a date with a cup of tea.
Thank you to Peter Hughes, done a fine job. He will be back later to take us to the finish. He's going for a well-earned cup of tea. I've just had a brew and a bit of cake, very nice too. Hope you're enjoying your afternoon. We're having a bit of fun here, aren't we, today? Some lovely times. We've just had the cavalcade up the hill there of the winners of the Friends of Prescott, and now we've just got a Dacia on the hill, and that one is either a course car or a local resident. Coming back down the hill now. In fact, this is probably one of our officials, which were following the cavalcade of the other cars. So the first cars we will see will be the Fascy Championship cars, and that looks remarkably like Alistair Clark in his Triumph Vitesse that he's lovingly restored. Spent lots of time, lots of money on that car, done a great job, and he actually won the Fascy Championship last year. It is a handicap championship, and he won it. He won it. When I say handicap, they basically give them a time. Somebody sets a handicap for them. They've got to try and beat that time, so the one that beats it by the most will win the class for that day and get the points. A real mixed bag in this class, to be fair, and it's hard to determine from our screens, apart from the fastest cars, who actually is winning the class on the day. But nevertheless, they're all trying to beat their handicap. So John Barber is just leaving the line in the Fiat Abarth 850. Alistair Clark is heading up towards the S's. And just on the line now, car number 22 is Matt Clark. Now Matt Clark was the quickest in the championship yesterday. He drives it like a complete hooligan. It's got a really big engine for a Mini, about bored out as big as you'll get, over 1400cc. Front wheel drive, little wheels, leaves the line. Watch him going past the bridge, watch him going into Orchard. He goes through there like on a four-wheel drift. Absolutely incredibly driven car. So Matt Clark, 66 mile an hour, there he goes, drifting through there. Puts the brakes hard on to go round in Taurus. So Matt will set the top. Oh, look at that. It's a brilliantly driven Mini, to be fair. Absolutely stunning. I think he likes the wet conditions as well, because his biggest rival is Simon Braithwaite in his Escort, who's coming to the line after Martin Saunders is already on the hill as well. So we're looking at the times from this morning. Simon Braithwaite was the quickest with a 50.34. Matt's heading into semicircle. Can he beat that time to go the quickest this afternoon? He sets the time of 50.52. And don't forget that track has probably cooled down a little bit now. The sun's gone in. I did feel the odd spit of rain. Here comes Simon Braithwaite onto the line in this glorious Escort RS 1600 engine. In this one, absolutely stunning build. If you have a look at this, the colour scheme looks amazing, but actually when you look at the build of the car, it is an incredible job. But he is actually an engineer with Jaguar Rover in the classic restoration business. So Simon leaves the line. We've got Martin Saunders has finished in a time of 53.66, which is just over a second slower than his time this morning. So maybe the track is getting slower. So Matt Clark's 50.52 might be a very competitive time. Can Simon Braithwaite beat that? At the moment, he is not. He's not in purple sectors, as we call it. So if you're watching on the live screen, look out for purple sectors. That shows they're the quickest in the class so far. Well, he's having a good clean run, but is it going to be quick enough? Into the semicircle, approaching the finish now, puts the power down to the finish. Off he goes through the finish in a 50.89. Matt Clark has it so far. Well, they always have a massive battle, those two, and yesterday they were separated by hundredths rather than tenths, so that was incredibly close. Dave Parr on the hill in the Ford Anglia, Lee Carter on the hill in the Fiat Abarth, and Andrew Clark in the glorious Alfa Romeo GTB waits to have his chance. Dave Parr in the Anglia is off up towards the finish, finishes in a time of 56.09. 56.09 for Dave Parr. That puts him 7th quickest so far. We've got Andrew Kearney in the Hillman Imp. Little 1 litre car, rear engine car, Roots Engineering car, back of the day. Rear wheel drive. Very, very rapid little things these. Coventry Climax engine in the back of them. At one time you could drop the engine out probably in about half an hour. It was very simple, straightforward engine to get out. I think that's still the case now. Anyway, Simon Braithwaite, Matt Clark. Well, it's Matt's got the honours so far. Just looking outside, is it spitting with rain? Don't know. Oh my goodness me, car number 31 coming to the line. Extremely rapid little car. A Mini. Just looking for my piece of paper here. So waiting on the line, Graham Hill in this Mini Cooper S. This is a very well sorted car. It absolutely quick as anything. Big wheel spinning start, blue car. Haven't seen much of this car before. The carburetor's the intake is stuck out the top there, at the front of the bonnet, like the old Hammer. He's drifting it through Orchard there. He's driving it very well indeed. Actually, be very interested to see what sort of time he can come up with. He's not quite on Matt Clark's pace at the moment, but he's only a little way up the hill. So, Matt Clark still leads the way this afternoon, but Simon Braithwaite has still got the quickest time in the Fascy class from this morning with a 50.34. So, but this is a separate round. Oh my goodness me, Graham Hill is driving it like Graham Hill of old. He's all over the road, but he's going to get there soon. Heads up towards the finish. What sort of time's he going to post? He's going to be just over the 50-second mark. 50.69. That is prim and amazing. Fair dues. So that takes him second to Matt Clark. So I can't believe that Matt Clark's got another Mini rival that's nearly on the same pace as him. That's incredible. So that bodes well for the future, doesn't it? We've got a very rapid Mini and a very good driver in it. So Matt Clark and hang on, we've got another class showing up now. Bugatti under the class 2, the Fascy 2 class. So Ben Cross just leads the line in the MG Midget. Car number 35, Stephen Akers is already on the hill in the Lotus Elan. And he'll be followed by David Fripp in the Fiat 124 Spider. So the quickest this morning in the Class 2 of the Fascy was Gary Cox with a 49.71. And I think he's the only one that's gone under 50 seconds in the Fascy today. Ben Cross in the Midget did a 52.27. He was on the hill. He is on the hill at the moment. And Ben will be looking to be somewhere around in the low 50s. We get a guide now, yeah, through the finish in a 51.71. Well done, Ben, that's quicker than this morning on a cold track, so his pace has picked up a little bit more. David Fripp on the hill in the Fiat Spider, and we'll be followed by Stephen Norris in his MGB Roadster. Our classic restorations man from near Tewkesbury. This is his first season in the Fascy. As I can hear that screaming V6, that growl of that big V6 engine. There's Gary Cox, who's just coming in. Lemon Slice is the name of the car. You'll see why when you see the car. Bright lemon coloured Scimitar coupe. So Stephen Norris, he's on his way up towards Pardon. It's generally when they get to around about Pardon and just round it, they tend to release them. And Stephen earlier, he set a time of 68.66. Lemon Slice is away. Gary Cox at the moment. He's He's not got purple sectors up yet, so he's not beating Ben Cross according to this, but we'll know more when he gets round in Torres. No, still on showing white, so it'll be interesting to see. Robert Orford just leaves the line in the MGB Roadster, and that looks like the Fairthorpe Electron, car number 40, just about to Chris Jones. So, Gary Cox, what have you got, Chris? He's into semi-in, heading up towards the finish. Going to finish in a time of 49.97, so that's interesting. So he's now won the class there. Nobody's going to beat that in that class, I don't think. Comfortably ahead there, and just slightly slower than his morning time, but Ben Cross was quicker than his morning time, but Gary still has the fastest time there. So the Fairthorpe Electron's on its way. Robert Orford's approaching the finish in his MGB Roadster, finishes in a time of 53.67. John Cavendish leaves the line in the MGB as we get a Mallock. This is the Peter Thurston Mallock. The quickest Mallock here today holds the record for this class. Very rapid car and driver, to be fair. Very early Mallock too, that one. But it looks absolutely resplendent in its polished aluminium. Mallock Mark IV U2. It's got a very potent twin cam engine in that one. Very rapid indeed, probably 190 horsepower. 76 mile an hour through the speed trap, absolutely flying too. That lovely little exposed Mallock. I was talking to Christopher Elwes this morning, who also has got a Mallock. He's coming up to the line shortly, and he said everyone should drive a Mallock and own a Porsche 911. I said, well, I absolutely agree with you, but in my case it's probably not going to happen. Jeremy Rivers Fletcher leaves the line in his Triumph Special as Peter Thurston rustles up to the finish, through the line, 45.92. Great time, Peter Thurston. Okay, Christopher Wigdor, that was the gentleman I got to pronounce his name wrong earlier. Christopher Wigdor in the Mallock U2 Mark 6B, lovely little car, comes up from Devon, and he said you should drive one of these and drive a Porsche 911. He didn't offer me, by the way. But when he saw the size of me, he probably thought he probably wouldn't get in it. So Christopher Wigdor's away. He used to drive Formula Fords. Jeremy River Fletcher's approaching the finish as Clive Berry gets on the line in his Chrysler Sunbeam 1600 Ti. Unusual car, that one. 1600cc Sunbeam Talbot engine in that. Same engine they fitted in the Avengers. Twin carburetors, so he's away. Christopher Wigdor approaches the S's, going up towards semicircle. We got some Austin Sevens coming up next. This is the Austin 7 class. So Clive Berry on the hill in the Sunbeam, and then Darren Archambaud in the Austin 7 Sports is on the hill, and he will be followed by car 53. So Colin Danks, car 53, the Austin 7 Ulster, he also leaves the line now as Darren Archibald is still about to finish. He's going into semicircle very shortly. There's about 4 cars in this class, then we're into the big Allards. Okay, we've had a moment there. Colin Danks has had a moment at semicircle. There'd be a red flag for that one. He's out of the car, but he lost it coming out of the S's there. He's having a look at his car. The marshals are rushing over. So the Allard will be held on the line. And Nick Turley will be red flagged, so his run will be rerun. So he'll come back down. Okay, so there will be a slight delay. The driver is out of the car. He's looking at his car there, but there will be a delay while that car is recovered. No major issues to report on that front, just a mishap coming out of the S's there, and so we'll have a slight delay. Okay, we won't be long before we're back in action. We're amongst the Allards at the moment. I had a slight temporary crisis when I'd come back to the box. Peter had moved all my notes around, so I couldn't find the information I needed. Anyway, they're still going to have to recover that hill, but it may be an interesting thought, actually. I don't know if any of you you know what sort of records we got here, but the current hill record, by the way, for Prescott is 34.95 seconds. That's actually Matthew Ryder and Scott Moran. And that's the fastest times. And that was tied, and I think that was in 2023 on a runoff, when they both tied on a runoff, which is a very unusual state of affairs, actually. Both driving Gould GR59s with 4-litre Goulds. The British Hill Climb Championship, which they compete in, is actually at Hill Climb today, and I haven't seen the results today, but yesterday Alex Summers won one of the runoffs and Matt Ryder won the other runoff. So Wallace Mingus was back competing in his Gould yesterday. He was 12th on the first one and 5th on the second. So the car has been repaired after his accident at Craigantlett, and it's good to see Wallace back in action. However, now the sun's coming out. We lost the sun just now for a while, and the sun's come back out, which is really good. I did notice David Franklin was here today, and David Franklin is driving that glorious Porsche 911 with the Golf team colours of the blue and the orange, and he went up the hill when Peter was commentating, and in fact in 1976 he held the hill record in March 742 BMW, and at that time it was 42.98 seconds. So now, interestingly, we're in 1976. So here we are all these years later. Matthew Ryder, 34.95, so about 8 seconds quicker. That is the progress we've made. So David was obviously, I think he was British Hill Climb champion as well over the years. I'd have to check that one out. But we've been competing here. We've got the hill records going back right to 1960. And back in 1960, it was David Boshier-Jones in a Cooper Jap. Now, we've got the Coopers here today. There is two 1100cc Coopers. And back in the day, the hill record was 50.96 in the little Coopers. The fastest Bugattis, we've got actually the fastest Bugatti driver here today is Ed Burgess in his Type 51. And in, was it last year, 2023, Ed Burgess went up the hill in 51.85 to be the quickest ever Bugatti driver. And going back, actually, it's interesting, when in 1970, when I was first introduced to hill climbing, Bernard Kane, he was a solicitor from Bath. He was part of the Withy King and Lee practice, and his one of his relations, Graham King, who was Arthur King's son, which means nothing to you, we were at Bath Tech together, and he introduced me to hill climbing. And I see back then Bernard Kane 3 times held the Bugatti hill record. Back in then it was 56.50. So Ed has knocked a good 3 or 4 seconds off that since then, but really the cars haven't made much progress on the Bugatti front, so it's quite interesting. So Ed's in a 51 and Bernard Kane was in a Type 35B. We've actually also got, when we had Rally Prescott last year, we had Scott Moran, who is actually currently retired but our 6 times British Hill Climb champion. He was driving Dad's Rogers car, which was a Skoda R5, a 1600cc 4-wheel drive Skoda rally car, and in the darkness he went up in 46.76, which is an extraordinarily quick time actually. So if you look at that, so in the dark, on headlights, in the wet, because it was wet that day, he went up in 46.76 seconds. Now we have got Rally Prescott this year. It's in November again, early November, and I thoroughly recommend that day out for you. We've also got 2 British rounds to come, when the big boys return to us. We had the early April meeting cancelled because of the wet weather, but they're returning in August and September, and it could well be that could be the championship deciders. So fabulous to see. I don't know whether how many of you have actually seen the BRM. I just had a quick look around the paddock before I came back from having a brew, and I don't know if the BRMs have gone home now because I can't see them down there. They pushed them out. We may not get another demonstration run from the BRMs, but at the moment I can't see them down there, but I can see the tent and the marquee still up. So it'd be sad if we don't get to see another run of those, because they were fabulous. And the V16 obviously was ear-splittingly loud and also incredibly quick for a car that was produced in 1949. And in fact, I see Chris Chris Druitt was interviewing the BMW folk earlier. In fact, he did actually do an interview with David Franklin, who are former British Hill Climb champion. So I think we've got the rescue unit going back up the hill. I suspect that will go back into position up at the S's, and we will soon be back. If they're just showing a replay actually now. The BRM. There's the BRM. If you're watching on the live stream, which you could get on your iPhones as well. We're transmitting this all over the world actually. So here comes the BRM. You can hear the sound of it. What an amazing piece of kit that is. Ear-splitting sound. I'm not hearing sound, but I've got headphones on at the moment. But that car was first produced in 1949. This is a replica version of it. This particular car actually has got over 30,000 components. I think 34,000 I was told by the mechanic earlier. I'm hearing engines starting up as they show the BRM just finishing off up the hill. The Allard, the big V8 Allards are on their way. Car number 55. This is going to be shortly going up the hill. Yes, we got Jeff Pinch in the Allard K1. 4.2 litre V8 engine. They ran American engines in these American V8s. A lot of them had the Ford Pilot flathead engine, and then the later ones were mostly running, and the bigger engine ones were running Cadillac engines. Produced in Putney, by the way, these cars in London. I think the gentleman who's got the car that's coming up to the line shortly still lives in the same road as where they were produced. So we're going to be back in action now, folks. Allard's on the way. Looks ahead. Marshals are all around the car. They've got the rear chock to stop it going backwards, and it leaves the line very nicely too. Car 56 just coming to the line. This is James Smith, 4.5 litre V8, immaculately turned out car. I think this is the gentleman that knows all about these cars when I was chatting to him earlier. Still lives in the same road as where they were made. Sydney Allard, I think, was the name of the producer. They did very well up until the 50s, till the XK Jag, the 120 came out, when people preferred to buy the XK. Either the price was better or the car was better, but that's what they did. We've got a nice little car 52 there. That's one of the Austin Sevens of Nick Turley. The Arclay Special, beautifully turned out little car. Only got a 750cc engine in the front of it. Beautiful bodywork. Look at the polished aluminium. It's just immaculately built. Look at the wire wheels. Shoves it into gear. Off he goes. Into second. Into third as he approaches bridge. Car number 58. This is Ben Stevens in the Allard P1 Fastback. I think this car got quite a lot of damage on it, and he rebuilt the car, and most of those panels you can see on there are fiberglass, but they're painted silver. Unusual bit of kit. James Smith finishes in a 63.27. That's a little bit quicker than his earlier run. Nick Turley, so we're now going back to the Colin Danks, the Austin Sevens. Peter Allport still on the hill. Nick Turley was flagged. He's going to semi. 67.46 for Nick Turley as Ben Stevens. Mark Butterworth leaves the line in the Allard J2. That's a real fast car, real big engine in that one. Yeah, 5.4 litre in that J2 Allard of Mark Butterworth. He's well on his way up the hill. Ben Stevens has just finished in a 66.22. And we've got Andrew Howe Davis, car 61 on the line, the brown one, leaves the line. As car 170 comes to the line, which is Simon Warburton in the Allard P1. And if you notice that one, he's got a wooden fastback on the back of it. No metal. Whether the rest of it's metal underneath all the paint, I couldn't tell you. But I suspect it is. Probably polished aluminium underneath. So Mark Butterworth has just gone up in a 59.50. That's the quickest Allard time of the day, quite comfortably. He had to fail the first run, but this time he's put it all together, gone up in a 59.50. James Smith, his second quickest, was a 63.77. Andrew Howard Davis is approaching the finish. But he's going to be a 65.65, so that takes him fourth quickest. So very shortly, in fact, I can see we are now approaching the Lotus class, the Paul Matty sports cars. So we've got a clutch of Elan, Elises, Exiges, and then we've got some single-seater sports cars, single-seater racers, Lotus 69s, and then we will have Peter Hughes back on commentary to take you towards the finish. Still to come, we've got the ERAs, we've got Bugattis, highly entertaining. But this Lotus class is always really, really good. So the quickest runner in the Allard Owners Club was Mark Butterworth with a 59.50, James Smith with a 63.27. and a 65.65 for Andrew Howe Davis, and a 66.22 for Ben Stevens. Entertaining class, nice to see the Allards. So here we are in the Lotus class. We've got John Langley, so John Langley has also just finished in the Allard with 64, takes him third in the class. Now we're into the Paul Matty Lotus Championship. The quickest this morning was Anthony Wallen with a 45.48, and David Hampton with a 46.64, and Malcolm Thorne with a 46.94. Anyway, they'll be along in a bit. At the moment, we're amongst the Elans and the Exiges and the Elises. Philippa Dowell is on the hill in the Lotus Exige, and John Palmer in the Lotus Elise has just left the line. Keith Wilford is on the line with his Lotus Elan Sprint. Very pretty car in green, white and gold. All these little Elans, they basically were very small, very light. They had twin cam Ford Lotus twin cam engines, 16 valve engines, very rapid. Steve Millward in his car, 54.69. He sets the pace as John Palmer heads up towards the finish in a 54.05. So that's the quickest so far amongst this class. Keith Wilford is on the hill in the Elan, the green and white one, looking good. And of course the Elan sort of set the path really for Mazda to design the MX-5, which has been, I think, the biggest selling sports car of all time. And if you look at the two, you can see where the influence might have come from. 55.21 for Keith Wilford. Pete Bottrell's on the hill in the Elan S3 as Phil Carver waits to go in the Lotus Elise. We'll be very lucky this afternoon. The sun's out. We've had the sun out most of the day, to be fair. A couple of times it's threatened a bit of the wet stuff, but it hasn't come. So now we're in full sun, which is a fabulous way to end our meeting today if it stays. There will be a prize giving afterwards up at the clubhouse for all the trophy winners, and of course it's a lovely place to come and cheer on the winners and also enjoy a well-earned drink. Phil Carver on the hill in the Lotus Elise at the S's. Clive Buffy leaves the line in his Elan. And Charles Hamer in the Lotus Elise, car 88, waits to go. So 54.48 for Phil Carver. That actually is the second quickest in amongst this batch. Still a few more Elans before we get into the single-seater Lotuses, where you'll see some real pace. Car 89, Richard Swindle. He waits to go in his Elan S3. Clive Buffy is just about to head up towards the finish. Finishes in a time of 57.91. As Charles Hamer heads towards the S's, Richard Swindle leaves the line in the Elan S3 and will be followed by car 90. Which is Luke Mason. Still the quickest amongst these Elans, Elises, Exiges is John Palmer with a 54.05, 54.48 for Bill Carver and a 54.69 for Steve Millward. Luke Mason leaves the line in the Elise. Richard Swindle's on the hill heading up towards semicircle to finish shortly, be in the 52nd mark. 50. So we're going to be Richard Swindle about to go over the line. Can he threaten the lead? No, 57.57 for Richard Swindle. Luke Mason on the hill. This car 770 of Jane Millward, the Lotus Elan S3, very pretty little car, two-tone car, as leaves the line. So John Palmer still leads the way with a 54.05, 56.04 for Luke Mason in the Elise. Jane Millward yet to finish as Christopher Dowell waits on the line in the Lotus Exige. Car 72 of David Giddon, the Lotus 23. This is a super rapid Lotus, this one, little sports car. Look how low slung it is. Proper purpose-built little racing car. The Elva, I think, was based on this to look at. The Elva looks exactly the same, but absolutely scorches off the line, that car. Now we got the first of the single-seaters. That one there is Anthony Shute, the Formula Ford, the Lotus 69 Formula Ford, little 1600 engine in the back. But it seems to have bigger tyres on that than the old Formula Fords had back in the day. So I'll have to ask him about that one. 53.81 there for Christopher Dowell. the quickest amongst those so far. More modern Lotus. But we're now amongst the big boys. The Lotus, the Anthony Shute car is on the hill. We've got Malcolm Thorne, who was third quickest earlier. Malcolm's in a 2-litre Lotus here. Fabulously turned out car. That's some exit, isn't it? There you go, Malcolm. He's here with his wife Sarah as well. Car 76, Anthony Harris, Stephen Palmer in the Lotus 69. This is the car he bought recently from Switzerland, but it did compete in the States very successfully. But anyway, he bought the car. He also owns another Lotus. They will get quicker and quicker. Adrian Reed, car 79, on his way too. He's on the start line in the Lotus 61, 1700 cross-flow engine. Malcolm Thorne, what's he going to show for us? He was quick this morning. He did a 46.94. He's heading up towards the finish. 47.04, just fractionally slower than this morning. We've got more to come yet. So Stephen Palmer is on the hill as Adrian Reed in his Lotus 61 waits to go. In fact, he's away. Adrian Reed did a 47.25 this morning. He was the fourth quickest. Anthony Wallen, who's yet to run this next run. We've got car 81, which is June Matty, Paul Matty's wife. Beautifully turned out car, real Lotus experts, drives it very well indeed, very rapid car. June Matty this morning, she did a 49.97 and Paul, her husband, did a 49.93, so very closely matched. Paul Matty is on the line, car number 82 in his Type 35 Formula 2 car. In the traditional Lotus colours of green and yellow. Very rapid start. Dave Hampton, our quickest man yesterday. This morning he was the second quickest. He got just pipped at the post by Anthony Wallen this morning. So he'll be looking to get the bragging rights this afternoon. So we've got the Pan Dave Hampton take the win. June Matty, a 49.24. Well done, June. Excellent time. Very consistent driving. That's quicker than this morning. So Dave Hampton has left the line as Anthony Wallen comes to the line in his Lotus 69 F3. Now I believe this was the car that was built basically from a bag of Lotus bits or has been restored, and it's certainly in better condition now than it would have left the factory. So Paul Matty does a 49.12, just beats his wife. Dave Hampton at the moment he's got purple sector. He's heading up, he's already well on his way up the hill. Can he take the win in this class today? 46.50 for Dave Hampton. That is quicker than he did this morning, but a couple of tenths down on what Anthony Wallen did. Anthony Wallen, he's got purple sector. He's looking good to take the win this afternoon and this morning. He's heading up towards semicircle. In he goes now. Puts the throttle down for the finish. Over the line, 45.69. 45.69 is slower than Dave Hampton. So Dave takes the win this afternoon. And this morning, Anthony Wallen took it with a 45.48. And Anthony Wallen has set the fastest time of the day for the Lotuses with just Brian Meddings to finish. And Brian Meddings earlier was the 53.56. I'm going to hand over to Peter Hughes as the first of our ERAs comes onto the line. Car number 95, David Ellison in the ERA B type.
So David Ellison on his way up the hill in the ERA B-type. Around the left-hander up to the bridge into Ettores. Cowan Buffy does, his time just disappears off my screen, but not an improvement unfortunately for Cowan. As David Ellison rounds Pardon. Ben Fiddler in the D-type sits on the line quickest in the first runs this afternoon. Ben Fiddler, he did a 51.61. David Ellison did a 56.42 on his first run. We'll wait to see if he can improve on that at all in this second run as Ben gets away. And David Ellison 57.77, so a little over a second slower than his first run of the day. As the third of our ERAs comes up onto the line, and that's Tom Hardman in the AJM ERA. Ben Fiddler looks like at the moment at least he's improving on his first run time in the early sections of the hill. He's into the S's and sliding the car through there as Tom Hardman gets away. Semicircle in goes Ben. He's still looking quicker than his first run, which is a 51.61. He does a 50.85, so picks up about 3/4 of a second on his time in the first run to do that 50.85 as Tom Hardman goes around Ettores on up to Pardon. We have the first of the Bugattis on the start line. That's Tim Dutton in his Type 44. But continue to focus on Tom Hardman at the moment. He has improved, I think, on his own first run time, but not able to, at the moment to better Ben Fiddler's intermediate times as Tim Dutton gets away off the line and heads off under the bridge. And it's a 53.31 for Tom Hardman. He has found 53.51, sorry, so he's found 0.8 of a second, but remains in second place amongst the ERAs as Tim Dutton goes around Ettores and Bruce Stops brings his Type 35 Bugatti up to the line, car 104. Tim Dutton looks as if he's quicker than his first run time. Now, can he get, he was about 2.5 seconds down on Bruce Stops in second place on that previous run, so we'll see what he can do this time as Bruce Stops gets away. And up to the line now comes our current leader and Bugatti Hill record holder, Ed Burgess, in the Type 51. As Bruce Stops rounds Ettores in the Type 35. And Tim Dutton's time is 61.78, so he's found a little over half a second improvement on his first run time. Remains in third place currently though. Bruce Stops also managing to find time improvement on his first run time as Ed Burgess gets away, 53.22. on the first run for Ed. This is of course a handicap class. Again, scratch times aren't the ultimate aim. As Ed Burgess and round Ettores, Alex Risk in the Type 13 Brescia sits on the start line. Stops, picks up over a second on his first run with a 58.51. He remains in second place on scratch times at least as Alex Risk gets away. Ed Burgess already improving on each intermediate time of his own as he goes up to the line and does a 53.15, so he actually finds an extra 0.07 of a second over his first run time as Alex Risk runs up towards Pardon in the Type 13 Brescia. Tony Brown sits on the line in the Triumph Dolomite Sprint, running of course in the TR registered Triumph Speed Championship. one saloon car that we have in that category today, as Alex Risk comes into the final sections of the hill. Can he improve on his 68.13 in his first run as Tony Brown rounds Torres? Away goes Tony Brown. Alex Risk does a 67.74, so he has found nearly half a second on that run as well. Tony Brown on the hill, as is Larry Jerram Croft in the soft top TR7 V8. John Whedon in the TR4 sits on the line. Tony Brown is going quicker than his first run at the moment, but not getting close to the quickest time overall, at least. 109 coming up onto the line now, and that is Roger McEwen in the fuel injected Triumph TR6 PI. Roger McEwen. So Larry Jerram Croft not able to match his first run time. He does a 54.66 against his 53.80 in the first run. What can John Whedon do? He was in third place. About a second and a half, a little over a second and a half down, and he does a 55.83, so he loses time over his first run as well, so remains in third place. Roger McEwen is on the hill in the TR6 PI, as is John Vincent in the 2-litre Triumph TR7 Sprint, and Alistair Flack is on the start line in the TR7 V8, as John Vincent comes out of it. Torres, away goes Alistair Flack. Time for Roger McEwen, 61.87, so he has picked up about 0.3 of a second over his first run, so quicker time for Roger, who sits in 7th place at the moment. Alistair Flack is going well currently. He's had 2 fastest sections, so he leads already with a 51.00 on his first run. It looks like he could be about to better that. Jerry Vincent has a 57.89, again picking up time, about 3/4 of a second. He's in 4th spot currently. Alistair Flack does a 50.20, exactly 0.8 of a second quicker than his first run, and he obviously remains at the top of the standings, as Garrow Shan gets away in the first of the Healeys, the Austin Healey Sprite in the Healey Sport series. Ian Thomas sits on the start line in the Healey 3000, the big Healey. So we're waiting for time for Graham Ramsey in his TR7. He did a 64.6 second on his first run. A little bit slower, 64.83 on this run. Ian Thomas is on his way up the hill. Onto the line has come Claire Giles in her Mark 1 Healey Sprite, as Ian Thomas in the big Healey rounds Torres goes on up towards Pardon. Garrow Shan did a time to him better of 55.39. Can't do it for 56.88, significantly down unfortunately on his first run time. Claire Giles is on the hill in the 122 car. Steve Casson is on the start line in the Healey Lenham Sprite. Steve in 2nd place at the moment, about 3/4 of a second down on Maxwell Shand after first runs. Ian Thomas picks up exactly 1/3 of a second over his first run. He does a 53.66 against his first run 53.99. Doesn't move him in the standings. He remains in 5th place. Stephen Casson is on the hill. Phil Gardner in the Ashley Sprite is on the start line. Steve Casson then heading up towards Pardon, rounds there, he's going quicker than his first run, but at the moment isn't outpacing the leader after run one. But Gardner is away. Robert Owen on the line in the Healey Sprite Frog Eye. Carson coming just one faster sector. He's coming to the line now, and he does a 52.37. He's picked up 4/10 of a second nearly, but he's still a third of a second slower than Maxwell Shand with a 52.02 for Shand. Away goes Robert Owen in the Frog Eye Sprite. Gardner coming towards the end of his run in the Ashley Sprite. Does a 59.38, a big improvement on his first run of 66.36. Some 7 seconds almost, and that has moved him up the order by about 3 places. As John Ducker gets away in the big Healey 100, and up to the line comes the Healey 3000. The Healey Sprite. Should be able to tell the difference between the Sprite and the 3000. It's Brett Dillon who sits on the start line. As away from Torres goes John Ducker in the Healey 100. Robert Owen coming towards the end of his run. There's a 55.79, so about 9/10 down, or 8 or 9/10 down on his first run, so not able to improve. On the line at the moment is Trish Cecile Pritchard in the Mark 1 Healey 3000. As Brett Dillon in the Sprite is rounding a Torres. John Ducker close to the end of his, and he makes up a couple of places with finding well over a second and a half improvement there with a 56.63 against his 58.34, now in 12th position. Brett Dillon still on the hill in the Sprite, and Trish Cecile Pritchard in the Healey 3000 also on the hill, going around the Torres at the moment. And our lone Jensen Healey Mark 1, Gerald Wilby, is on the line now. Brett Dillon does a 54.81. He finds almost half a second improvement. He sits in 8th place in class currently. Navdeep Bamra in the Healey Sprite is on the start line. Joe will be rounding a Torres on the Jensen Healey. Away goes Navdeep. Cecile Pritchard again dropping just a couple of tenths over her first run time, not able to improve unfortunately. Navdeep is on the hill. Mervyn Coxon is on the line in the Healey 100. And the Jensen Healey of Gerald Wilby in the later stages of his run up the hill, as Mervyn Coxon gets away in the 100. Gerald Wilby does a 65.20, so he has improved by a couple of tenths of a second on his first run time. Mike Moore in his Austin Healey Sprite sits on the line at the moment, as Mervyn Coxon heads around Torres, carries on up. Navdeep Bamra coming towards the end of his run. There's a 57.50, so again he picks up 4/10 of a second. Improvement is in 15th spot with that time. Mike Moore is on his way, and warming up the rear tyres on the big Healey car number 134. It's Richard Mason in the Mark 2 Healey 3000, as Mike Moore rounds Torres in the Sprite. Mervyn Coxon does a 61.51, picks up 4/10 on his previous time. Richard Mason is away, And another big Healey coming up to the line. This time it's car 136. It's Hugh Edwards in his Healey 3000. There's Mark II Healey of Richard Mason Lorenzo Torres. Mike Moore comes to the end of his run, does a 54.40. So he's 2/10 quicker than his first run. Currently lies in 7th spot in the overall Healey Sport standings. Hugh Edwards on the hill, up to the line, car 137, another of the big Healeys. This is the 100M of Michael Berry. Hugh Edwards at the Torres, going around that challenging hairpin. Richard Mason does a 53.01, so he is, just a few hundred slower than his first run. That classic red and old English white colour scheme. Peter Walton brings his Healey 3000 BT7 up to the line. 100M of Michael Berry is around the Torres. Hugh Edwards coming towards the end of his run, and he does a 59.95, so he's 7/10 down on his first run time. Away goes Peter Walton, and we're switching back from the Healeys to the TR register, and the Dolomite Sprint comes up to the line once again. This time in the hands of Robert McGregor. Time for Michael Berry of 52.80. He's found an extra quarter of a second, and that has moved him up a place, in fact, into third place. Third place of Michael Berry. McGregor is on the way up the hill. After that, we're back to the Healeys for just a moment, because Maxwell Shand, our leader after the first runs, will be taking his second run in the Austin Healey Sprite. Meanwhile, the Dolomite Sprint of Robert McGregor heading up towards Parden. Peter Walton does a 53.01. He is a second quicker than his previous time, and that has moved him up a couple of places, in fact, into 5th place. Robert McGregor going towards the end of his run as Maxwell Shandon heads up to Parden. He's not as quick as his first run at the moment, quite wide on the exit of Parden as well. I don't think he's going to improve his time, but Robert McGregor has found about a second and a half, very nearly a second and a half, to do a 57.29, and he is currently then in 4th place in the TR register standings as we focus on Maxwell Shand once again. Next up, it should be the 500cc single-seaters. Maxwell does a 53.51, so well, very nearly a second and a half down on his first run time, but it doesn't matter. He is fastest with his first run, 52.02. So the first of our 500s coming up to the line now, and it is 140 Richard Robarts in the Cooper Mark 11 500cc machine. Lined him up, he's all set for the off. And away then goes Richard in the Cooper. Up to the line comes 141 John Dent in his Mark 8 Cooper. Richard Robarts negotiates the Torres. Now he's on up to a little left hanking before he goes up to Parden. He is down on his first run time at the moment. A bit of a twitch there in the middle of Parden as John Dent gets away in the Mark 8. It's an old Cooper field today in the 500s. And there's Alistair Dent now in the Mark 5 Cooper. that sits on the start line. As John Dent rounds the Doris. Was Richard Roberts, who was quickest on the first runs with a 53.83, but he drops exactly a second on his second run, because it was 53.83, 54.83 on this run. Either the two cars behind him do anything about that. They were a couple of seconds back as Alistair Dent goes around the Torres. The 1150cc Cooper of Mark Dent, the Mark 8 Cooper, comes to the line. Oh, a big slide around Pardon there for Alistair Dent. John Dent does a 59.75, so he's half a second slower than his first run. What about Alistair? He's pushing hard, back wheel on the grass there in midway, but he continues on his way, and he's quicker than his first run, but I don't think he's going to be quick enough. He does a 56.53. He remains in second place. John Dent, unchallenged in the larger engine category, is looking to better his 54.82 on the first run, as David Saxel heads off in the Riley TT Sprite, competing of course in the Bugatti Owners Club members and all-comers handicap. Looks like a better time than first run for Mark Dent. So no competition in the class for him, unfortunately, today. He's coming to the finishing line, does a 55.84. He actually dropped a second on the closing stages of the hill. As David Saxel rounds Pardon. Lots of smoke coming from the back of that Riley TT Sprite now. Well, that seems to have cleared at the moment as he comes through the S's. Chris Stone is on the hill in the Porsche 911 RS, and Maxwell Bearley-Jones is on the start line in the Triumph TR7 V8. David Saxel does a 63.55. He's a second and a half quicker than his first run. Away goes the TR7 V8. Up to the line comes the 156 car, Fraser Nash Shalsey of David Pryke. Chris Stone does a 55.69. That's half a second down, slower than his first run. Maxwell Bearley-Jones is going. He was fastest in his group on scratch times. Don't forget, we're looking at the handicap on scratch times. He's a 52.82 on the first run. He looks set at the moment, at least, to beat that. As David Pryke makes his way up the hill, Tom Richardson comes up in the Gypsy GN Special. And what can Bearley-Jones at 52.57? He's actually managed to find quarter of a second improvement on his first run time. David Pryke is on the hill. David was quickest on scratch times in his group first time up. Tom Richardson is away in the Gypsy GN, and Chris Tabor in the Riley Special sits on the start line at the moment. And Richardson then at the Torres currently. David Pryke quicker on a couple of sections, but he does a 55.38. He's also found 3/10 of a second. He was a 55.69 on the first run, 55.38 on this second run. Chris Tabor takes to the hill. Nigel Harper brings his MGJ2 to the start line. Tom Richardson looks as if he's improving his personal best time currently. Doesn't look as if he's improving on his first run. Tom Richardson almost a second improvement, 56.13 against 57.01 on his first run. Nigel Harper on his way on the J2. Howard Harman car 165 sits on the start line in the MGTC. Chris Tabor's first run time was a 62.34 in the Riley Special. What can he do on his second run? He's come into the finish line now, and it's a 62.18, so he's picked up just a fraction of a second on that second run. Ian Baxter brings his single-seater Brabham BT16 to the start line as Howard Harman is making his way around to Torres. Nigel Harper looking to improve on a 76.50 on his first run in the MG J2. Looks like he should do it. A 70.16, so he has found very nearly 6.5 seconds improvement on his first run. Going well there in the MG J2, Howard Harman. And a 66.18 on his first run. Ian Baxter is going quicker than his first run, which was a 45.66. As he comes to midway, he's still up on his first run time. He was quickest in his group in the handicap on that first run. Still improving. 45.66 was his first run time. He's come into the line and it is a 45.38, so nearly 0.3 of a second improvement for the Brabham BT16. Tim Spencer in the Lotus Mark 6 is heading up the hill. And on the line, Peter Joy in his Lotus 7, car 168. Tim Spencer 65.29. He competes, of course, in the Paul Matty Lotus Championship. That class led by Anthony Wallen. Tim Spencer with a 65.29 on his first run. He needs to find quite a bit of time to move up any positions at all, to be honest, as Peter Joy is away. And Mark Wojciechowski is on the line in the Morris Mini Cooper. Peter Joy rounding a tour is heading up towards Pardon. Tim Spencer coming towards the end of his run. Tim not improving. It looks like he has lost time. He's had a problem somewhere on the hill, I think. And it's a red flag, so Tim Spencer not getting to the end of his run. Peter Joy and Mark Wojciechowski are being flagged to a halt, so it'll be reruns for the two of them. And now that's Peter Joy flagged, who's stationary there. One of the cars is just coasting over the finish line, and I think that is Peter Spencer, because the clocks have stopped for Peter. So he has coasted to the finish, but don't think that will count. Peter Joy and Mark Wojciechowski will have to have reruns. But on the line at the moment, it is the 173 car. So Carol Nichols starts sitting on the line in the Nike Mark IV. Two cars still stationary on the hill. Will have to be sent back down before we can get things going again. Well, thanks to T. Howard, who's messaged us on the live stream saying, I'm also watching Monaco, but this is much more fun. I'm sure it is too. Much nicer cars, much nicer drivers as well. Who needs Monaco when you've got Prescott? And Link Zeppeloid, who has messaged us a few times, says, I'm always surprised about the performance of these historic machines. It is quite remarkable what cars that were built pre-computer age are able to achieve. So still waiting for those two cars to clear the course and the red flags to come in, and then it will be the Nike Mark IV of Carol Nichols that will be the next car up the hill, the Formula Ford machine. Course is clear. Carol fires up the Nike. And away then goes that Formula Ford machine up the hill. And it is, I think, another Formula Ford machine coming up the line. It is number 175, Les Buck in his Pringit Mistral Formula Ford car as Carol negotiates Torres. Now he's on up towards Hatchet. Doesn't look like Carol has been able to improve on her first run time so far on this run as Les Buck gets away. Under the bridge goes Les. And up to the line comes Mike Henny in his Lotus 51. Mike, who was quickest on scratch times on these in this group of cars in the Bugatti Owners Club members and all-comers handicap. Carol Nichols does a 56.90, so that is about 7/10ths down on her first run time. Mike Henny gets away. Les Buck looks as if he is making up some time on his first run. He was 7/10ths down on Mike Henny on that first run. He comes up to the line, does a 50.53, so he is 0.15 seconds slower than Mike Henny's first run time. Peter Joy gets away in the Lotus 7. Mike Henny not able to improve on his first run time so far. He is coming down to the finish line, and in fact he does pick up time in the very final part of the hill and does a 49.94, so gets under the 50-second mark on scratch times, but those have to be adjusted for handicaps, of course, as Mark Wojciechowski gets away in the Morris Mini Cooper. Rerun, of course, from Mark because he was flagged, red flagged on the first run. David Slade is on the line in the MGB GTS. Peter Joy there in the Lotus 7 is a 57.42, so he is a little less than a tenth of a second down on the time he was able to record on the first run. Mark Wojciechowski is making up time on his first, compared to his first run time at the moment. First run time was a 55.77. As away goes David Franklin in the Porsche, and a 55.14 for Mark then. That's, well, about 2/3 of a second quicker than his first run as David Franklin gets to Torres in that lovely Gulf livery Porsche 3 litre RS. Pete Fletcher is on the line in the 4.5 litre Triumph TR7 V8. David Slade coming towards the end of his run in the MGB GTS. Makes up time, makes up over a second and a half to do a 57.10 this time through. What can David Franklin do this time? We wait to see. He's outpacing Chris Stone in the same car. Hugely experienced hill climber, of course, does a 51.34. He's made up 1.4 seconds very nearly on his first run time. Great run for David Franklin as Pete Fletcher is on the hill in the TR7 V8. He was a little over a second back, well, after Maxwell Burley-Jones had taken his first run. Peter Fletcher has a little over a second to make up if he is to catch up on scratch times at least with Maxwell. Close to the line and does a 52.44 and outpaces Maxwell Briley-Jones on scratch times. Pete Fletcher then does a 52.44, 52.57 for Maxwell Briley-Jones. So yet to come, I think we will have a Tour d'Honneur for the fastest car of the day.
Attention paddock, attention paddock. We've now come to the end of the meeting. I hope you enjoyed your day here at Prescott.
Hopefully, spectators, you've all had a good day here today, seen some lovely cars, some great action, enjoyed yourselves. We hope to see you back here very soon. 2 weeks' time, we have, of course, the midsummer meeting. Well worth a visit, but in the meantime, thanks very much for your support this weekend. Thanks to all the competitors and, of course, equally, if not more importantly, all the marshals who give up their time to make these events happy as well, but happen certainly. And my fellow commentator Chris Ponsford, and doing the interviews on the stage in the paddock was Chris Druitt. So great to work with them again. Hope you've enjoyed yourself. We're just waiting for news of whether there is to be a Tour d'Honneur. Well, Ian Baxter is the man who was eligible for Tour d'Honneur, but he won't be going up the hill. And very kindly, the timekeepers have just handed me, and they are so efficient already, a set of results for day 2. Let's have a very quick look through some of those, see if we can find some class winners for you, including with the handicaps. So in Class 1, the honours go to Alistair Clark in the Triumph Vitesse. In Class 1 of the Fascy Championship. Class 2 of the Fascy, Ted Elwes it's Stephen Akers in the Lotus Elan Series 1 who takes the honours. Class 3 of the Fascy Championship, it's Jeremy Rivers Fletcher in the Triumph Special. Class 4, quickest I think was Steve Dymoke in the Alfa Romeo Alfa Sud. In the Burt Hartley Memorial Championship, it's Colin Danks in the Austin 7 Ulster who takes the honours. In the Allard Owners Club Series, then it goes to Mark Butterworth in the Allard J2. Moving on, in the Paul Matty Lotus Championship, outright honours to Anthony Wallen in the Lotus 69. In the ERA Register, it's Ben Fiddler in the ERA D-Type that takes it. Bugattis goes to, on handicap, goes to Tim Dutton in the Type 44. In the TR Register, it is Alistair Flack in the TR7 V8 in the Healey Sport Series, Maxwell Shand in his Healey Sprite. 500 Owners Association honours go to Richard Robarts in the Cooper Mark 11, and in the larger engine capacity with Mark Dent in the Cooper Mark 8. In the Bugatti Owners Club, all-comers handicap in Class 1, David Saxel takes it in the Riley TT Sprite, car 155. In Class 2, it is Mark Wojtanowski in the Morris Mini Cooper. Class 3, it is Mike Henney in the Lotus 51. And in Class 4, well, on handicap, I think it will be Pete Fletcher in the Triumph TR7 3.8. Fastest time of the day goes to Ian Baxter in the Brabham BT16 with a 45.38 seconds. So congratulations to all of them. Thank you all for watching or being here. We hope you've had a really good day. We'll be back very soon. In the meantime, from myself, Peter Hughes, thanks once again. Have a safe journey home. Have a very good evening.